Alright guys, welcome to episode 3, Machines of Hate podcast. I'm here with the fabulous Dan Taylor. Ready for some obsolete opinions, because no one's listening.
Yeah.
Sums it up really, but you know.
It's crazy, isn't it? I was literally just saying to a friend of mine the other day, who I work with, is into like a Monomarth and a lot of Nordic bands and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, you should listen to Fear Factory, and he's like, I think I've heard of them before. And we were listening to Lynchpin and then a bit of Mechanized, and he was like, oh, they're really good. He's like, have they been around for a while? I'm like, mate, they've been around since like 1990. They've probably inspired at least 10 bands that you listen to. You know?
I think especially when you hear the modern stuff, because you know, like a lot of bands, they kind of taper off a bit, like later on in the career. But I think because like, I mean, I guess I'd put it to Dino having an ear to the ground, because he always has. So he's like, sort of like, okay, what's going on at the minute? How can I do that, but in my own way, kind of thing? That's the impression I've always got, because if you look at every album, at least the ones he's on, they kind of match somewhat what's going on at the time. So it's like keeping relevant, I suppose, is what it is.
Yeah, and I think I like the consistency as well. Like, you know what you're getting from a Fear Factory album. I don't mind it when bands change styles. So, like, for example, if you take someone like Paradise Lost, you know, there's 3 very distinct areas of look, feel, sound, so on and so forth. It's always good to sort of, I don't think sort of stray away from what you're used to is the right thing to say, but to expand your horizons. But then you kind of risk alienating one fan base in the pursuit of another. Like Linkin Park, after Meteora, for me, I was like, I'm not into it now. It's a bit emo-y. It's a bit, you know, it's quite depressing to listen to now. I didn't mind the odd depressing song. You know, I kind of like a good depressing song if it's like Timelessness or Enhanced Reality or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that consistency. I mean, taken out, of course, Archetype and Transgression, which, I mean, if you never listened to Fear Factory before and you just let them play, you'd pick up on that and go, no, something's changed. And then when you get back to Mechanized, you're like, all right, yeah, that's what we had before.
You see all the roots in it and like how it got there. I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I suppose in a way you can make certain comparisons between Demanufacture to Mechanize, Obsolete to the Industrialist, Digimortal to Genexus, and then Aggression Continuum is kind of a beast of its own. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's like version 2.0 of the album, but I do think it's almost coincidental that you had sort of that initial album where we're kind of establishing what we are. Then you had Demanufacture, which is like this is who we are. That's very much to me like Mechanized. That's kind of like, right, we're going back to who we are. You know, this is some Zero signature, some Demanufacture.
Yeah.
Then we go more into that concept album with Obsolete, The Industrialist, which, I mean, it's crazy to say Reindustrialized is probably my favourite album. When The Industrialist first came out, I wasn't all that into it. It took a long time for that to stick to me. But then Digimortal is just so accessible as an album. I kind of think Genexus is like that, but I don't think that's a bad thing, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, if they do it well, that's the thing. Like, you can kind of tell, like, oh, okay, yeah, this one's a bit more accessible, but it's still, they don't really sacrifice anything, even on those more catchy songs. Like, they're still heavy. Like, even the most catchy songs, they're heavy. Like, to be honest with you, I can't think of one where I'm like, oh, that's like a complete sell-out song, to say the word, but like, I've never really thought
that. The closest you get to something, I mean, I remember I were at a rock club where I live locally a couple of weeks ago, and a couple of people were like, oh yeah, Before I Forget is on, you know, come back inside. They've got like a balcony where people go and have a smoke and stuff and a vape. So everyone on the first floor was like, oh yeah, Slipknot are playing Before I Forget. And I'd actually put in a request for Lynchpin.
Yeah.
And you could tell it was kind of in that similar sort of like, oh, everyone wants to vibe and bounce to this song.
Yeah.
It was so crazy that all the people who hadn't heard of Fear Factory were like, oh, this is fucking...
That's one of those songs that I reckon, you know, if you like that kind of style, it's going to click straight away, because it's that do do
Mm.
do 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 do. Like it just gets you going. Like
Oh, it'll get a floor moving. I mean, we've been to a few gigs where you've just seen the wave of people.
yeah, yeah,
It's
100%. It
beautiful.
always, without fail, will get everyone going. It's actually pretty cool to see those like massive festivals where just everyone's just like, yeah, it's really cool.
Oh.
Um,
Well,
yeah,
this is it. And then tying it into Obsolete,
yeah,
I was really surprised at how people reacted to Freedom or Fire, I think that was a song on the album that really took some time to grow on me.
yeah,
Um, but when we watched that live, I mean, wow, I thought that were really well received.
yeah. That's true, actually. Yeah, we'll get to that. um, Yeah, so obsolete. I mean, the first thing I'm going to say before I forget, I mean, I probably wouldn't forget to mention it anyway, but I think nearly all Fear Factory fans can agree this is like the true like golden era of the band
Mm.
in a way. Like, they're on the third album, and you see those live videos, and it is just like, man, it's actually hard to put into words how insane those shows looked. Like, probably energy
To have been
that
there.
the only energy I've seen like matching something like that reminds me of Metallica right in the late 80s, when it was just like
Mm.
they were all like firing on all cylinders, and it was the same for Fear Factory at this point. I think it's like everyone's so locked in. The energy is just like off the scale. You see Dino and Christian just jumping around. I'm like, I don't even know how you're supposed to play that precise while jumping like that. It's just like crazy.
I think this was the album I think where the idea was this band is going to explode.
Yeah,
Like I remember some of the remix songs were in so many video games and films and stuff like that, and they were in TV shows, and you could kind of hear Edge Crusher or Descent remixes all over, but it was just that idea that they've not even finished the album, and Ozzy Osbourne is like, yeah, we want you to come and play at Ozfest with us,
yeah,
and you don't say no to that, but he doesn't. From what I understand, he didn't just extend invitations to anybody.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
he had to like them. He had to really have a feel for him because I know, he's a legend in music. He's Ozzy Osbourne, but I mean, Jesus Christ, 1997, 98, Obsolete with Ozzy Osbourne.
It's
What
one
a
of
kid.
those things I reckon like whoever was there, like a lot of people in that audience wouldn't have been there for them. They would have been there for Ozzy or whatever. But like that going on in front of you is undeniable, isn't it? I reckon a lot of people left there going like, "Holy shit!" Even if they were like, "Okay, I'm probably not gonna buy the album," there's surely that's left a lasting impression. Just even if you were like, "Okay, it's not 100% for me," but that energy is just undeniable. Like,
Yeah, and that's why people do it. It's sometimes what you have to do. A couple of the times that we've watched Fear Factory now, in the UK over the last few years, they've been supported by Ghost of Atlantis, and it's a similar sort of thing.
yeah,
They've got a great energy. They really build up to the show, and when they come off, you're like, right, I'm ready for Fear Factory now.
yeah,
But it's a similar sort of thing. I bought one of the T-shirts. I thought they were a great supporting act. They were very, very complimentary of Dino and the current band, which, to say you still get people whining about the change of lead singer. I think that's what you've got to do. You've got to listen to it. You've got to see it. You've got to hear it. Same as those people who were back at Ozfest back in the day. That experience in itself probably opened so many people to Fear Factory, and you would have thought it would have opened doors, but as we know, it's a band with a very complicated history.
mm, yeah, definitely. I mean, and there's also some bands where it's like it could be the other way around where I might get in something like properly like studio, but then if I was to see that live without hearing it at all before, it might just because it's a bit like too much going on. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? Like if it's like I love like some of my prog bands, but you put that in front of me like 10 minute song, never heard it before, and you're first hearing it live, it might just not click because it's like it's just too much to take in one go. Whereas you put something on like Edge Crusher around that time, that's just one that came to mind, or
Oh,
even Shock, but like Edge Crusher, like it's just like it's to the point. It's a song that's to the point, right? Like you can process that like as it's happening in a way.
yeah, and you can get a little bit carried away sometimes. You can almost ruin a song by making it outstay its welcome. And I think we talked about this on Full of a New Machine, for example, we mentioned some of the songs they come as quickly as they go, but because of that, you're happy to stick it on repeat and listen to it a few times, and
Yeah,
then get to your favourite bit. And I think Obsolete captures that throughout. I don't think there's any song that I feel overstays its welcome. I don't think there's any song that really um, has like a tone shift that makes you kind of think, oh, well, I don't know if this fits and stuff like that. It's just a really, really good, well-rounded album.
yeah,
It went gold for a reason, as we know, and um, I think this was the first album, if I remember reading correctly, where Dino had his seven-string air guitars. There was a lot of good stuff on the album. Even now, up until Genexus, for me, it was probably the quintessential Fear Factory album.
yeah.
Now I kind of put that and Genexus side by side because they're just two albums that I can put on, listen to 24/7, and just never get bored. I just love them both that much.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like if you're gonna show them, yeah, for the first time, it's probably. I mean, I'd still probably go with like Demanufacture probably just because it's that like blueprint in a way. But then it's like from there, yeah, you probably want to go to like Obsolete and Genexus and like all of that maybe. But kind of like I've said this before, but it kind of depends who you're showing it to. If it's someone you already know who likes a bit of extra groove in their music or something, then yeah, maybe I'd be like, you know what, check out Obsolete first.
Yeah, and
It's a bit like some of the
the
thrash.
concept.
Some guys I know are like well into their thrash. I'm like get Archetype on because I feel like it
Mm,
does go into more of that thrashy sound more than some of the other albums. So it's that kind of same sort of thing, I guess.
yeah, I follow what you're saying, and I think if you're interested in not just the music but also the artistry behind it, the concept, the story, the idea, and things like that, Obsolete is perfect. It's I never quite realised until I was a couple of years after it came out. So I was a bit older than when it first came out. I started reading through the book one day, and I couldn't tell you what possessed me why. And as I'm reading it, I realised that there's a story to it, and I'm like, okay, we're talking sort of as the internet is a thing, but there was no need for me to go and search for the album. I had it, I'd listened to it, but um, I was going through the story, and I thought it's really interesting, and then I stuck it on again. I heard themes and related to things that I didn't before. I just thought that was an absolutely great thing.
Yeah,
I believe there was an idea of a comic or something at some point, but
yeah.
I don't know if that came off the ground.
Because in the booklet you've got the bits in between, like each song, right? Like the it's almost like a screenplay.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've actually got my copy just to one side over here, so it's the special edition version of the album,
yeah.
which this isn't actually my original copy. I got this off some wonderful soul
That
on
cover,
Vinted.
like the cover that covers the case, it totally reminds me of like video games back then, like 90s video games. Because
Just
you
missing
remember,
like the PlayStation logo up the side.
yeah, and like my dad had like shit tons of PC games, and like they would always have like a cover on it, and that makes me think of like Quake and Unreal Tournament, Doom,
Funny
like
you
those
say
kind of
that.
games.
That has got an Unreal
It
Tournament vibe,
does,
hasn't it?
yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
That's really what makes me think about it, and I'm like, I wonder if that was intentional or not, but
Yeah, I were quite lucky with this one. Whoever owned it previously had it signed, so that was
yeah,
one big thing.
that's
Like you
amazing.
say, that's the cover art at the back as well, if we can get a decent light.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was just as I were reading through, and you know, younger me didn't really pick the booklets up. I just put the disc in the machine and listened to the music. But I always thought it was so interesting having read it and the different parts of the story. And it's not a story where the hero wins either. Edge Crusher, the main character, he gets captured by
yeah.
Securitron. He loses, in effect. And
But that's a bit of a message towards like, well, reality and where things are heading in a way, I suppose. It's like
very much today.
it can't always be a happy ending.
And like
Mm.
you say, the all the different bits, I just pinned them down to lyrics in originally. But
Yeah,
you read through the whole story, and it's quite a read. It was only when I was reading online about people and what they felt of the story that I realised the statue that Edge Crusher comes across in the abandoned factory, well, not factory, sorry, the abandoned building. You realise it's a church,
Yeah.
and that the statue is Jesus Christ, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Whoa, there's layers that even now you still discover something new."
Yeah.
And what a theme, what an idea! It's brilliant. Leading in with Shock and the idea of
Yeah.
this group of sort of dissidents wanting to go against the system, and I think that's very much, as we talk about being relevant to modern society, it's definitely what you're seeing now,
Yeah.
especially in Europe.
There's definitely, again, on this album, that massive like Terminator influence is coming through. Like,
Well, that's it.
yeah.
We're seeing it with things like digital ID, aren't we? We're seeing it with things like security acts where you've got to verify your ID, verify your age, you've got to verify. It's all about your details, isn't it? We sign up to a free service. They want to sell your information. They want to know when you were born, where you lived, da, 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 da. Just everything that they
Yeah.
talked about there and then is like now.
Yeah, 100%. We'll get deeper in that in the concept later, I reckon, as we go like through the tracks. But I was thinking, we touched last time on like the artwork as well at the beginning. I was just wondering if we just talk about that as well quickly. And it's like, I mean, the first thing that pops out to me is that color difference again compared to like the first couple of albums. It's still kind of like that one color, or like a certain shade of one color, I suppose. And it's definitely that more like earthy kind of look to it, doesn't it? Like compared to like
Yeah,
Demanufacture, which looks really like cold and like, but like the similarity
metallic.
is still the like the bones in a way. You've got like the spine on this one as well. It's just like a different sort of kind.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? The mixture of the brain stem and the spine and the brain itself looking like a sperm cell in a nutshell.
Yeah.
The idea of the creation, human and kind, and things like that. I don't know how to describe the color because I'm colorblind myself. I can't tell
Okay.
whether that's like a green or a beige, but I do
Yeah,
like the
it's like
contrast
like
between the
beige,
black.
browny beige kind of color.
But one thing that strikes me as well is the font. It's not really what I'd have expected from a Fear Factory album. I would have expected something more mechanical, industrial, whereas this almost seems like something I'd see in a horror movie.
Mm.
And the way that Obsolete is stylized as well,
Yeah, it's actually quite
with
creepy
like the
looking.
Omega symbol and
Yeah, and it's kind of like the little T in there is like pointing towards the like the religious
the
aspect that
cross.
you said. Yeah, the cross. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's like you're already
exactly.
getting little like Easter eggs before you even put it on.
And I wish I'd have opened it up and read the book sooner.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I really like the cover. It's like it's a bit like at first I was a bit like, oh, it's a bit creepy, but like I think it fits the music quite well. Um, and I think it reflects
it's
the sound because the sound is a little bit, like I was saying in the last episode, it is a bit more of an organic sound compared to like Demanufacture. It's a little bit looser, a little bit less mechanical in a way. Like,
it's interesting as well how at the time there was a lot of different artwork going on. Really, I mean, just to take a few bits from my own little humble collection, like that is a promo CD of Obsolete.
yeah,
Again, a wonderful find online, and it's striking with the black and white, but
yeah,
nothing like what we've just seen. And then you jump into something like Resurrection, and that is, oh yeah, I don't even know how to describe it. Again, it almost feels like a horror movie,
yeah,
strangely enough, to me anyway, with a photograph of the band on the back. And then I guess with Cars, it's kind of its own thing, isn't it? I mean, it's on the album, sure, but it's not the focal point. It's a cover song.
yeah.
It's
I've
something
always
they
quite
did.
liked that artwork though on it. It's just like
Sort of the stencil of the car on one side, and
it's just so that late '90s kind of aesthetic, I guess. Like,
it reminds me of a racing game, and I can't think of what it was called. But at the start of the race, you saw the wireframe of all the polygons
ah,
as it sort of drew the textures and the shapes and
oh,
things.
that's funny.
God, for the love of me, if I
Yeah,
can think of, oh yeah, it's going to bug me that.
yeah. And yeah, maybe we'll touch on the like production a little bit before we go like track by track as well, because I think that's always interesting to touch on. And I think it
Like you
goes,
say,
yeah, I was gonna say it goes back a bit to like, when I said like Dino has that like ear to the ground kind of thing. It's like he could tell there was a lot of something was stirring up there with bands like, I know I say this like every episode, like Korn and that kind of stuff. Like that groovy sort of music, new metal was sort of like beginning around then, kind of thing. So I think he was like, how can we get something like a little bit like adjacent to that? I think adjacent is a good word, because it's not like, oh, how can we get in bed with that style? It's more like, how do we progress our sound alongside what's sort of like popular, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
while staying true to
Yeah.
what you are and not changing your image and stuff. I get what you're saying on that, and it's an interesting point. Late 90s, early 2000s, so many one-hit wonder bands, that we refer to as new metal. People talk about like Spanshank, for example, and I'm sure somewhere I've got a Spanshank Fear Factory CD, but apart from New Disease, I couldn't really tell you any songs off the top of my head. Not because they're a bad band per se, but the market just got flooded with these bands.
Yeah, I think this album was a little bit before that, right? Because it was around, I want to say like the actual year, like 2000 is when it was like exploded. But
I think that Obsolete benefited from coming out before that explosion because it was very unique. It didn't sound like any, to the best of my knowledge, it didn't sound like very much else on the market at the time. But then I think Digimortal, whilst we'll talk about that in future, that kind of got punished because my understanding is the album label kind of saw the Linkin Parks, the Cohens, the Disturbeds, the Slipknots, and all these other bands, and thought, we want a slice of this pie.
And that album is like, I'd still say it's mostly like new metal adjacent, but there are some songs you could point to specifically and go, that's pretty much a new metal song. Like, and I don't think that's a bad thing or anything. Like, but it's more apparent on that album than this one.
It definitely, it's a great album. I still really enjoy it, and I'm not going to make it sound like it's a dig, but I do know that, having spoken to Burton about it in the past, that it was an album that the album label wanted a piece of that pie and kind of overproduced it. Like we said ourselves in the past, I'd love to hear what that sounded like.
Yeah,
it's not a problem you've got with Obsolete, because it is as it was intended to be, I guess.
Yeah.
Not that I suppose Digimortal was a million miles away from the original vision, but it would have been nice and interesting to see if it was darker, more like Obsolete, if you will.
Yeah, and like you've got I forgot my train of thought now, but I was going to say, well, one point was that you've got some of the first songs without double bass on this album, because I think maybe well, you've got on the last album you had Dog Day Sunrise, right? And does Dog Day Sunrise have double bass? I can't even think right now. Dun, 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 dun.
No, it's more of a da 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 da.
Yeah, it's more slow. Yeah, and then you've got obviously the last song. God, what's it called? Therapy for Pain. That's a much slower, like doomy song. So, but I would say this is the first album where you've got songs that still do the clean, harsh combination with no double bass on some songs, if I remember right. Because like Edge Crusher, I don't think does. And I remember Dino making a point about this, is that they wanted to try and do some without double bass, see how it would sound.
Yeah, and it was interesting as well, because I think Christian was given a standing bass by a musician who was relatively famous, and it's an awful thing that I can't remember.
Yeah,
it's probably a trivial factor to a majority of Fear Factory fans. It's not just coming to my head at the moment, but I mean, who would have thought you'd have heard like an orchestral standing bass in a metal song, and it works so well.
yeah, 100%. It's like, I love when they just think it's just taking that little moment to think outside the box and be like, fuck it, why not? If it sounds good, it sounds good.
Well, this is it, and it's something I've always appreciated about Fear Factory over the years. That they're not afraid to sort of step outside the bounds of what the norm for in the pursuit of creating a great song. Like, so for example, as you said a moment ago, Therapy for Pain in this album, Timelessness, it's after 10 songs of hard hitting great tunes, fast beats and stuff like that, you don't expect those somber quiet tones, those sad moments that almost make you sort of tear up and go, well, damn, I never thought a song had hit you right in the feels, but
That's why
I mean, fair play.
it's a bit frustrating when some people who maybe they've heard a few songs, they just go, oh, they're just they've made the same album like 10 times now. Like they're like, I don't think I've seen anyone say this, but it's like someone going like, oh, they're like AC/DC, like making the same album again and again. But it's totally not like that. Like yes, there's always going to be certain elements, but like you said, you've
People
got
like
like
that
the
need to listen
standing
to
bass
Dragon
coming in. You've
Force.
got songs like Timelessness, and it's just like if you've not listened properly, maybe it does seem like a bit samey, but then when you actually listen to a full album, it's like I don't know. It's like to me they're very different. Like
Yeah, and I definitely I kind of appreciate how the album changes as it goes on. There's a lot of interesting ideas in there for sure. Resurrection it is quite a bouncy song. It almost feels like a resurrection in a way. It's got kind of that. I don't want to use the word somber twice, but I'm struggling to find another word. It's quite a depressing, almost kind of sad tone to open on, and then as it kicks into
yeah,
that song, you really start feeling the vibe, and then with that revive,
oh man, don't
it
this.
really.
I've got to save this to the end because I'll be talking about it. I'll be talking about this song for ages. You don't want to get me started on it.
Oh, it is a great one, and I
Yeah,
think using Freedom or Fire as another example of a song that I didn't think much of originally, but it really grew on me, is the deep synth bass. Like that, that's such a nice touch. And it took me so long to appreciate it, especially when the song's fading out and it's got that deal, 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 deal. It's
yeah,
like, oh, a few more bars of that, please, but it ends soon. So
yeah.
I
And
gotta put it on
also I
repeat.
was the well, I know what it was I was going to say earlier is the tempos on this album, like the way they did it was quite different to Demanufactured because Demanufactured had fixed like click tracks, so it's all that's why it's that really precise sound. But yeah, I was listening to this interview of Dino, and he said one thing they did differently was they wrote the songs, practicing the songs, him and Raymond, and then they were like, oh, you know what we're going to do? Instead of setting the click track, we'll play without, then we'll track it with to see what it comes out with, what it naturally should sound like. So what it actually does is it's not fixed. It some sections the BPM will go up and down a little bit, which is so. But here's the thing, right? So instead of just playing it without the click track, which they could have done, they still did it, but they figured out what it should be first. I know that's a really weird way of doing it. And the reason for that was to get this, still keep the mechanical feel, but also have it going up and down this little bit. It wasn't by much, apparently. Like even if it's just a few extra beats per minute, fluctuating
Yeah,
to get this really
I,
interesting sound.
I think I saw the interview. Is it with sort of a long-haired chap?
Yeah, it's Gaza
Mm.
podcast, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, no, I do remember that there was some really interesting stuff on there, and I like sort of the technical sides behind it as well. I love the obsolete guitar as well. I'm sure we've seen him play with it. Um, I'm sure I've seen Dino play with it, but with like the obsolete logo on the body,
yeah, I
you
think
know
I've seen that
that
one
was.
come out. I feel like I've seen it on video maybe or something, but yeah,
I'm sure I have. Whether we were at the same gig, I don't know because I've,
yeah,
I've been to see him a lot in the last few years, and hopefully more in years to come.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's quite a striking image, isn't it? There's no two ways about it, and certainly when I look at the back of the box, for example, kind of the injection there of how the spinal cord. I'm not getting a good angle here, am I?
Yeah, that's really
Spinal
creepy.
cord. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just such a piece of artwork that makes you think, well, kind of gives me Matrix vibes.
You know
That
what?
idea of
It actually reminds me a bit of something like AI would come up with, which is like so funny because it's like about that in a way, but not in the art sense. But yeah,
maybe Dino's a time traveler and he just came back with this piece of artwork.
yeah, that's really weird. I never actually thought about that until now. But yeah, it's almost like AI pre-AI about AI. It's trippy.
I mean,
um,
Meshuggah did a music video, didn't they? And it kind of makes you think about stuff like that. The whole music video is AI. I think it's called "They Move Below,"
yeah,
and interesting song. But those kind of things, when you think about it, these are the kind of things that we were talking about here. This album,
Yeah,
um, the central systems and how man becomes obsolete because AI effectively, you know, made us redundant. It's kind of what you're seeing now. We've talked about some situations that AI's had an impact on. If you look at the games design industry, massive, massive impact. Thousands, if not probably millions now unemployed because AI has taken out so many parts of the chain. I can't think of how many businesses that have probably found ways to dramatically reduce workload with these tools. And
yeah,
at the end of it, what's going to be left but a queue of people going, well, I'm looking for a job.
yeah. This is actually it weirds me out sometimes thinking about the lyrical content of this album and how it um prophesies like quite a lot of things. Like, I mean, you just take the lyrics from like Securitron, and then like you look at what's going on in like USA at the minute. It's just like, what the fuck? Like, just, I mean, maybe not so much with the whole like mechanical race thing yet, but like it's the
Yeah.
beginnings. It's the beginnings, isn't it? It's like, how long does it take for those people to then be robot controlled AI, something like that? Like, you know.
Well, you see people are doing it here now. Our government are just as guilty, really, and you see it throughout the European Union as well. It's so strange how the powers that be have kind of responded to something by saying, we could have prevented this. However, now it's happened. We need more control. And you're like, well,
How
why? Because
yeah, and
you had the
how do you
control, you
get
just didn't.
more control? It's from, people are going to start looking towards things that don't, you give it a set of instructions, it's going to do your bidding for you rather than
Well,
relying
this
on humans who are emotional beings, like whether they've been trained to not be or not. It's yeah, it's going to be the cold rule of AI. I think it's heading that way, unfortunately.
Well, this is it. Algorithms, the whole shebang. Loads of very popular YouTubers have been affected by how AI has changed the algorithms and stuff like that. And people are being introduced to more, sure, but all the stuff that they loved previously, they're not really seeing because the algorithms changed, and
Yeah.
it's tracking everything you're doing. I mean, you've probably had it yourself where you might have said to a friend, a family member, someone, just I'm really hungry, and within seconds, Just Eat
Oh
pops up,
yeah, they're
Uber Eats
listening.
pops up.
Yeah,
It,
100%.
and that's exactly what we were talking about. With this album, it's unbelievable, and before you know it, you think of man as just being someone sat in a chair with that device, and all your needs attended to.
Mm.
So what's your importance in that situation? What's your relevance other than just being a consumer, which is kind
I'm
of what Fight Club was getting at.
Yeah, I'm really, really hoping that Burton will do some of those spoken word events near us. Did you see about the obsolete word of mouth? Did you hear about that?
I, no, I remember something being mentioned about it were doing it in Australia, wasn't it? But
Yeah, he did
did it?
too. In two of the main cities. Can't remember which one. I think like Brisbane, Sydney, something like that, maybe. But it was like
One of
really.
them cancelled, or am I going mad?
Um, I think the date got postponed or something like that. But they didn't. In the end,
Yeah.
it did go ahead, but maybe at a different time. But they were like phone free events, so there's no video of this anywhere.
Oh, okay.
It
Mm.
was just the only. Well, I mean, it, it's the only people who know exactly what it was like had to be there, and it was like really small places. No, not even a microphone apparently. So
Oh,
everyone had to
wow.
be dead quiet to listen to him and stuff. But I'd be like really interested because it
God,
sounds
like
like,
adult story time.
yeah, I know, but it sounds like it would be about his thought process writing them at the time, and maybe how he was seeing the future back then, kind of thing. Like, so it would be super interesting because like now it's been, getting on 30 years, like just what he has to say about that, like from a, you know, like the music. It's almost like separating the music for a minute. It's like let's just fully focus on the
Mm.
lyrical content. I think that'd be really interesting.
I'd like to hear a lot about the thoughts and feelings of all the band members. Really, I mean, it's probably the most pertinent album, I would say, at this moment in time with talking about technology changes, how it's affecting society, things that are happening in society, political things, economic things, war, control, all these kind of things. I'd love to listen to Christian, Raymond, Dino, but I'd love to just hear, what they remembered, what they were thinking, and what they were inspired by, and stuff like that.
I
Well,
think I remember a little bit about them talking about they were literally seeing things already going obsolete at that point because you had the internet
mm,
then, which was just like really starting to ramp up, wasn't it? Like, I mean, I can't remember
mm,
shit from back then because I was like 3 years old, but I know the internet was starting to get a bit more popular around then because apparently some people like a few years before were like, that's never going to take off. No, that's a load of rubbish.
oh
But then
God, I
by the late
remember, yeah.
90s, you've got it really is actually starting to replace a lot of things. And you've got, I think even like music was, I don't know when music started to get ripped, but there was the whole Napster thing, which was
Yeah, Metallica.
not long after that, I suppose. So I think
I mean,
that's the whole, that even their own music industry, things were going obsolete within their own world already. So
yeah, and the way that music was probably being made and distributed and recorded, and music as a business. I mean, I look at bands that I used to love from like the 80s, 70s, even like Sweet and stuff like that from the late 60s, and their bread and butter was the record sale.
yeah.
They'd sell a record, they'd sell a CD. You couldn't go online and download it.
Mm.
You couldn't just have a friend copy their print of whatever and give you an identical copy. It just wasn't that simple. But the artists were making money on the merch, the music, the actual sales of the vinyls, the albums, the tapes. Take your pick of physical media. But you look at it now and it's a completely different kettle of fish. I mean, I remember my first proper experience with the internet came in high school and sort of 2001, 2002, very, very sort of primordial internet. In fact, I remember Ask Jeeves and search
Oh
engines that
yeah, I
have
remember
probably
that. Yeah.
been and gone. I
MSN
feel really
Messenger.
old.
Did you have MSN
Oh,
Messenger?
yeah,
Bieber. Uh, uh,
LimeWire, Gaia Online.
what was the
Jesus
thing before
Christ.
Facebook called as well? MySpace.
MySpace.
Oh my
Oh
god.
God, I discovered so many great bands through MySpace. In fact, ironically, Dino did a solo for a band called Endrone that I really really like. I posted in the Discord group not too long back because someone brought it up, sort of related to the band. Do you know that Dino contributed to this song? And I discovered them through MySpace. But it was crazy because you're absolutely right in that sense. It was, I think they refer to it now as the .com boom. I remember everyone wanted to have that internet server package product that you needed, whether it was AOL, America Online, or FreeServe, or Jesus Christ, I can't remember some of the names of these companies. I remember Virgin got in pretty early, but I think that was when they just about acquired a company called NTL. There were so many businesses and people were investing hand over fist, exactly like they're doing with the AI thing now. It's driving RAM prices up the wall
Yeah.
because companies are buying in bulk. Even Nvidia's like, we don't need graphics cards at the minute because we're making that much money selling RAM. Things like that. But inevitably, that bubble bursts, and then you end up with the set standards that we know today.
Yeah.
So even though, Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, and Microsoft Edge, formerly Internet Explorer, have probably had a bit of a, you know, um, oligopoly on that for a while. Now you've got all these other tools and browsers
Yeah.
and things, and even me, I shifted away from Windows. I can't stand it anymore. I've had enough of it, and it's so invasive. And I switched to
Oh
Linux.
man, I
And
miss the glory days of XP. I think XP was the sweet spot where it had the extra
Devon,
it had those extra features you needed without any of that fucking bloatware that it comes with
yeah,
now. I
and you
mean,
got Microsoft
I
Office.
still do use it just for basically ease of use and stuff. I know you've said trying to get me on the Linux and stuff, which I might look into at some point,
Love it.
um, but yeah, it's just like that was the sweet spot, and it's kind of like it's not just them though. It's like it's everything. Like, everything's got ads. Like no matter where you look, and it's like you got to pay for this subscription, and then you got to pay for another one to get rid of. Like Prime, for example, Prime Video, you got to pay again. It's behind two
Two ninety
paywalls
nine,
now to get
no
rid of your
adverts.
ads, and then it's like, oh, do you want Like, I mean, this might be like Netflix or something. It's like, do you want 4K? Oh, that's an extra bit of money. Like, it's just like
Yeah.
it keeps going on and on, doesn't it? But
Paramount, no, they're not part of our service, but for £7.99 they
yeah.
could be.
But in some ways, I do wonder: did we just have it so good that it's kind of gone? Do you know? I don't know what I'm trying to say. We were sort of taking things for granted, and it's maybe like, okay, maybe it was supposed to cost more to begin with, in a sense, which I don't want to admit because I like getting nice cheap entertainment. But when you look at what we have to our fingertips now, it's like if that came out 10, 20 years ago, you could charge like. Imagine someone gave you Netflix 20 years ago and said, "Look, you pay this amount, and this is what you get." People would charge hundreds of pounds of that. So it's like it's almost a commodity, like music and video, YouTube, like movies, TV shows. It was so like it's like a given almost.
I said it about Xbox Game Pass. So many people laughed at me because I said, well, let's be fair, if you look at the value in that proposition, that will shoot up in price, and that will be the price of a mobile phone contract. Yeah. And all my friends were like, no, you're talking rubbish, Look at it now. It's not far off a mobile phone contract. And it's like I said, if people are willing to pay 30, 40, 50, I know people who pay £80 a month for an iPhone. If they're willing to pay these prices for a mobile device, then 30 quid for unlimited games, brand new games, day and date, yeah, I think that's value justified. Certainly when you consider the fact that some of these things cost hundreds of millions to make.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's borderline a commodity, isn't it now? Like what we have access to. And I was thinking, like, I think I was just having a walk the other day, and I was like, it's just mental, like what's accessible now. Like I can literally pull this thing out of my pocket, and I can listen to whatever I want. I can watch whatever I want with a few clicks. But it was like when I was younger, it was like I lived like pretty much in the countryside, and it's like if me and my dad wanted to go get the new film, or we wanted to go get like a new video game, we'd made the journey. Well, I live in Plymouth now, to Plymouth. Made the journey here, go to PC World, have a look at all the boxes, and go, oh yeah, I really want this one. Go home, you're really like buzzing to get it on, and like, I mean, we probably could have ordered it, but I feel like, I don't know if it was my dad was just like old school, but we used to like make the trip and go and buy it, from the store and stuff. And I was like, I feel like now it's like almost overwhelmed. I mean, I feel overwhelmed. Like I had to go through the other day on, do you know the website where you review like films and stuff? Like, is it IMDb, something like that?
I tend to use it for
Yeah.
info, like who's the actor and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I get like quite overwhelmed with a lot of things in life. Like I think I've got ADHD. I haven't been tested, but it's pretty obvious. But it's one of those things where I'm like, I almost have to do something to like not feel overwhelmed. So I was like, right, I'm going to go on there. I'm going to put everything like on a watch list that I really want to watch, and then I'm going to like sort it in like the order that I really want to watch it and stuff. And I was like, this is fucking crazy, because like when I was younger, it was like it's the DVD on the shelf. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's crazy. Even going back to what you were saying there about your dad and going on a trip and stuff like that. Like we had a sort of similar thing. I mean, unfortunately, my mum and dad were so fixated on brand loyalty because, I mean, there was a time where if you did all your business with one company, they would reward you for that. I mean, these days,
it's still like that with certain companies. Like I see a lot of people like dedicated to Apple still, and I'm just like, I mean, sorry if you have an iPhone, but
no, I think I see what you're saying, but I think that I understand the point. I disagree slightly in the sense that I think sometimes when you're in that gardened wall of if you've got iCloud, that's going to work best on all the Apple stuff. I really do get that, but I think where I were coming from was like, if you look at your insurance, for example, today, or your gas and electricity, every single year you get that letter through the door saying the price is going up because inflation and yada yada yada. So your £35 internet bill is now £40. Back in the day, that were a different case. Your insurance company didn't want you to switch. They'd be like, thank you, Mr. Smith, for being such a great customer. Your bill used to be £29 something. It's now 26.
Yeah.
And it all changed.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and family in that instance is almost obsolete with the way things work now, because we have social media. Those days out to the shop, to us as kids, they were big things. My mum and dad were so biased against Game Station and all the other companies. They made me go to Electronics Boutique, which eventually went on to become Game.
Oh yeah,
But what my mum and dad never understood was they had a monopoly on that market for so long that they charged a high price. They give really poor prices on trade-ins, and even the pre-owned games were really expensive. They wouldn't get away with that today because there's CEX. There would have been Game Station, Granger Games, God knows how many independent companies and such. But then the internet comes around, kills that whole thing. Digital games go online, and that trip to the game shop is now just you sending a party invite to your cousin or your friend or your uncle and saying, "Oh yeah, have you got FIFA as well? Yeah, let's have a play." You're not even in the same room.
yeah,
You're not spending time together. Birthday presents and birthday cards become something you order through Amazon, and you just send a message on social media. It's crazy that
mm,
that concept of obsolete just applies to so many different things, so
yeah,
many different things, and
yeah,
every chain you remove is people who are unemployed, things that have been automated and removed with AI. It's
That really got me thinking about something as well. Is that how much uh, more disconnected we are from companies and businesses? Because it was like what you were saying about the loyalty thing. It made me think like there used to be a much bigger emphasis on like customer care and service and stuff. Like, if you were to, I don't know, like let's say you had like a dealing with, I mean, here's a good example: the bank. The bank, right, is
mm,
that pretty much anywhere you live on a high street, you'd be able to go and find your bank. Now it's like they're
mm,
all shutting down. And then if you've got to make a call, you're probably going to go through to this automated thing. They're going to try and help you as much as possible without even having to speak to someone. I mean, the bank might not
mm,
be a good example. I haven't called them in a while, don't know. But as you know, most companies, you call them up and it'll be this whole automated thing. You might even never get through to anyone. It might just go to our website. So it's
yeah.
like, but before it was like, someone pick up straight away and be like, how can I help you and stuff. So even that is all going more digital, more AI. It's moving away from this whole like human element is coming out of it, and I think that's where it's really bad. Like in some ways, I can be like, okay, that's a really good change, but that is like it's getting rid of jobs, but it's also getting rid of like this whole human connection, even though it's in a business transaction, whatever it might be. But I still think that's a weird. I don't like where it's going.
And then that word obsolete comes back again.
Yeah,
Customer service is obsolete because we now have an AI tool that
yeah,
will try and answer your question in advance. And if it's absolute last ditch scenario, then yeah, you can talk to a chat agent between certain hours, and you can't even guarantee that that chat agent is in the same country as you.
yeah,
So it's not even the concept of being upset that you're not talking to somebody, within your own country. It's just that idea of that job somewhere is being done for as cheap as possible.
yeah. I
And
mean, that's what it is. Yeah,
it's crazy, absolutely crazy. And you make some fair points. I mean, I had an awful experience at McDonald's a couple of weeks ago with an online order, and I thought, you know what? Online orders for McDonald's, who'd have thought it for bloody 10, 20 years ago? I remember I were absolutely everything with my meal was wrong. They'd spilt the drink in the bag and it had seeped through to the point that when the driver was handing it to me, I could see that the cork and the drinks were dripping out the
oh
bottom.
god.
The food was completely ruined, and it took me.
I love how he still tried to deliver that. He's
Oh,
like, he's not going to
he's
notice. He's not going to know.
the worst thing was he was adamant that it was given into him that way. And I'm like, I'm not being funny. If that was the
Accept that.
case, why didn't you? Yeah, why didn't you
Yeah,
just say to the restaurant, it's damaged? So I didn't know who to believe in such a
damaged for like.
situation. But dun, 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 dun.
I'm sorry. I
And I
couldn't
just,
do.
I just remember thinking to myself, like, have you got a problem with your order? Yes. And you're going through the whole automated system with Uber, and then Uber's like, we've taken your feedback on board. Thank you so much. And I'm like, no, I want a refund. I haven't eaten this food.
Yeah.
So then it took me ages to get to an agent just to say, look, my meal was ruined by the time it got here. I've actually had to go to the shop and buy chicken nuggets and chips to just stick something in the air fryer quickly and feed my family. You
Yeah.
know, I paid good money for this. And then when I went to look at McDonald's on the website, I couldn't find any way you can possibly complain. Nobody you can talk to. No email address, no
Dude,
chatbot, no
this is it.
nothing.
I tell you what, it's happened to me twice in the last month now. I've just ordered a bookshelf to go in the corner there. The weirdest thing happened. I opened it up. I started assembling it. One of the legs was like too long by like an inch. It hadn't been cut properly. I could see the cut line hadn't been cut. I was like, okay, this is weird. So yeah, went through the whole return process, and it's like, okay, just package it up. This is all automated, by the way. No, not a single person spoke to me. I called the company. No, called the company. Couldn't get through to them at all because it was like automated, and it said this phone isn't active, something like that. Emailed them. Okay, I did get a human response there, but their response was, we can't do anything. You have to do it like through Amazon or something. Okay, go through the Amazon return process, all online, automated thing.
Yeah, Amazon is just
And
as
it was
bad,
like,
yeah.
okay, here's your return label, package it up, and someone will pick it up tomorrow. I was like, cool. Did they come? No, no one's come to pick it up. It's still sat over there in my hallway. And how do I sort this out now? Because that's not
Exactly,
even...
who do we talk to?
Yeah, it's like, I just want a fucking phone number and just to go, can you please arrange a collection for this package? I don't want to click through 1,000 things. But again, it's just obsolete. What makes that doesn't make money. Paying someone to answer phones all day about returns, it doesn't. So they're gonna, just go for the cheapest method, I guess, which is this, and it sucks, but that's just something. I mean, it's just wild to me. Like, we've seen these changes in our lifetime. We're not, we're getting on, but we're not that old, right? Like, we're both in our 30s, and it's like, imagine being like, towards the end of your life and the amount of change you've seen. It must just be like mind blowing.
It's crazy, I remember speaking to my granddad shortly before he passed, and some of the things he saw in his lifetime, there was no such thing as, at least to him, a dictaphone, as it were, back in the day where you had a vinyl record and you could play music. Vinyls weren't a thing until like the late 50s for him, but then it went from vinyl to tape to CD to digital. The amount of things he saw in his lifetime is crazy, and I think maybe yours, potentially the generations that we are now, we're gradually seeing things phased out so quickly. Everything's becoming obsolete, and the systems in place, the political systems, any system that governs what we do now don't want you to speak out about what's being done. If you're unhappy with the concept of paying a ridiculous amount of money for your gas and electric because of net zero, tough. Literally tough. That's what we're doing. You go along with it, or you get upset about it,
Yeah, I
despite the
mean,
fact
like,
that
here we can only have, there's only one water supplier. I think there's only one gas company here, so it's like, don't like the price, tough shit. Like, you've got to move somewhere else. Like,
you want water or not.
Yeah.
Exactly, same sort of thing. We've got it in where we live. It's United Utilities, but there's absolutely no choice at all. We look at the political systems. It's like we talk about. I mean, take a controversial subject like immigration. You might have a reasonably sensible view on that, but if you post about it online and someone gets upset, they report you to the police. You can genuinely get in a lot of trouble for that. People don't want you thinking. People don't want you to have thoughts and opinions and ideas. They just want you to go along with the narrative, because if you don't, you get in trouble. And this album encapsulates that perfectly. Like I said, I never read through the booklet. I just kind of thought it were the lyrics, and even then I weren't too bothered about lyrics and stuff. I just really enjoyed listening to the music and reading through the story of like Edge Crusher and his experience of a world dominated by this digital universe, and the new world order that uses this technology to impose its will on people. It's like, Jesus Christ, I feel like I'm living through this album.
Yeah. And it's just like, I think I mentioned this before, but what's wild to me is there are places in the world that are like so much worse than here. Um,
Mm,
I always say North Korea. It's just like I think it's because I did like a deep dive on it once. I was like, what is actually going on there? I really want to know. I'm just curious. And it's like it's almost like being born into a prison, but the prison is so big, it's like the size of a country.
mm,
And it's like a forced labor kind of prison. Like your rights there are just so minimal, like so
mm,
minimal. Um, and you've really got to know someone if you want to be well off there. Like it's not you can't really like make it. Do you know what I mean? You couldn't go and like
mm.
start a business, work your ass off, and make it. You can't do that. It's like the only way you're ever going to go up is like by knowing someone who knows someone who knows someone. Whereas everyone else is you're just a little cog in the system, basically. Even more so than like here. So it's kind of wild to me thinking about that.
Well, this is it. We're getting the first taste of it now, aren't we? But I mean, but what better place to sort of transition into the song by song? But this, I mean, if we
Mm.
take Shock for example, Shock to the System, the uprising that Edge Crusher helps bring together to deliver a shock to the system. We're kind of seeing that now with different organisations and people, and there's been so many political parties shot up in popularity, so many formed in these groups, and everywhere you go, there's a group of some sort. It seems like identity politics is the big thing. It's like, oh, do you want to be part of our group? And it's like another one. What's this one about? And maybe that's me sounding like an old man. Maybe I'm missing the purpose of what these people are trying to do.
Mm.
But the be all and end of it is, we can deliver a shock to these systems
Yeah,
with votes and stuff like that. But am I really expecting meaningful change?
I think what I
Not
get from
really.
that song is it can just take one person, um, with the
Mm,
right mindset, who knows what they're doing, who's got a plan, kind of thing. Is like I think what Burn conveys in that is like don't underestimate yourself or don't underestimate
mm.
someone else. That's what
I
I've
think it
always got
also
from that.
I think it also highlights the importance of a leader as well, and what good leadership can do. If we look at the story of Obsolete and the idea of humanity being on the brink and stuff like that, it's easy when you're defeated to just think, well, anything for an easy life.
Yeah,
What's the point in fighting? We're losing anyway and stuff like that. But
yeah.
for that person to rise and say, well,
Sometimes
no,
it just takes that one person to have that spark, and they might just fire up,
yeah.
thousands, millions of people around them. You never know.
I
Um,
mean, a friend of mine who's Polish told me about the solidarity movement in Poland when they declared their independence from Russia, and literally it just came down to the fact that one man who was trying to go to work was shot down by the police. No
yeah,
real reason.
yeah.
It was just murdered.
Well, actually, that's like the Black Lives Matter thing. Like, obviously, before that, there's been countless cases, but sometimes it takes one that gets that coverage,
Mm.
and it will just explode in the media, and then the whole world is suddenly like rallying up on that. So it's interesting, yeah. Like it might be someone's death, or it might be someone's like action, like whatever it might be. But yeah, anyone, including yourself, could be a shock to the system potentially. Like
Well, this is it, and you don't want to die a martyr either, do you? Which
no,
I suppose is something else the band have discussed in
mm,
previous songs. But um, being able to inspire others and be that voice and that power, that is a powerful thing. Certainly when people are being silenced left, right, and centre these days for anything that either goes against the narrative, could be construed as being offensive, or just isn't a very popular opinion. Even just talking about fuels, like we were a moment ago, we've got some of the highest gas and electric bills in the world. My gas and electric bill is about £220 a month, and I'm trying to find every
now that
possible
is a
way.
lot, man. Yeah.
Yeah,
How many
and that's
bedroom house is that?
so it's two bedroom. I've
Yeah,
got myself, my fiance, two children,
yeah,
and we try everything. We turn everything off at the plug socket when it's not being used. We've got the heater timer for the boiler on a very low temperature, so
yeah,
it's not using much gas, but also it rarely ever comes on. We've tried to insulate the house as much as possible, which is great in the winter, but not great in the summer. when you're then like, oh my God, I am sweating.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you can't catch a break. I think people forget our houses in England are designed to retain heat. They're not designed to dissipate heat. And unlike places like Spain and Italy, where AC is common in a household, it's not here. You know, it's for
yeah.
whatever reason we just haven't picked it up. It's like automatic cars. We're stuck in the past. Everyone goes, "Oh, you need a manual," and the rest of the world's like, "Well, our autos are fine, if not more efficient. So why do you need that?"
We're
You know,
lucky because we're in like a really well insulated flat, and it just I kind of forget because sometimes I'm like, oh, it's freezing in here, but then it'll warm up like real quick, and I go to someone else's house and I'm like, shit, I forgot what most houses are like actually.
yeah.
So it's almost
Until
like
you get to the
that's
summer
one
and
of
it's boiling.
it's honestly one of the main reasons that our rent cost isn't too bad because we've been here for so long. Is that it's a bit like I don't want to go, just because it's like you don't know what you're going to get next in some ways. So yeah,
Well, this is it. You know, it's a crazy situation with things, but you know, even just the fact that if I said I don't support net zero, immediately I must just want everyone to burn and die, and it's like, but that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is, in my personal opinion, I would like a net zero situation, but I don't think 2026 is the year that we make that jump.
no,
I get why they're doing it. You know, there's political reasons. For example, they don't want to be relying on countries like Iran or Russia, which is kind of what we're seeing now. You know, gas prices are shooting up, petrol's just shot up,
yeah.
all that kind of stuff. But they don't want to be destroying the environment, which is great. So we switch to nuclear power, but then, you know,
It causes a
this,
plethora of other issues here and there. It's like, yeah, I know what you mean. And
yeah,
it's like the government is just always, well, not, I would say one step behind. It's more like 10, 20 steps behind, to be honest, because a lot of the knowledge is usually out there. It's just like not being implemented in the correct way. I mean, I'm not an expert on those things, but there are people who are out there who have solutions, but they're not really, their voices aren't really
well,
being
this is
heard.
it.
Yeah, because
The
it's always
lobbyists
so
always
far
get the
behind.
way.
That's the problem.
Mm. Or someone somewhere goes, I'll give you a bit of one of these and you do what I want,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. I mean, yeah. It's just we don't see all of that happening, but it's happening everywhere. Like money talks.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
cash, you know, we're talking about a cashless society and stuff like that. And this is the beauty of Shock as a song, I think, is like, it's the idea that the fact that nobody's spoken out about these things or really truly done anything about it is how these establishments become established in the first place. People just go along with it.
yeah.
And then when it gets to the point that you know, you either, what's the word? Begins with C. I don't think convert, but considering I can't think of the word exactly offhand, like you either convert or die.
Hmm.
You know, you're not really left with a great choice, are you?
Well,
And
it's like I often think about how would it be like trying to live right now without a smartphone. Actually, like I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's extremely difficult. There are certain things where it's like it's just like this weird expectation now. It's like
oh, there's an app for everything.
there's an app for everything, but it's like if you really just want to not use one, it's gonna be a real hard time actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's mental. And
Mm.
then the actual the song itself, you know, that such a strong opening
Oh.
with the drums. Da-da, 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 da-da,
I love the bit just before that even the synth coming in and going. I'm just like
Oh,
I'm absolutely fired up already because I'm waiting for that first. It teases you a bit and you're waiting for that first. Dun 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 dun. Oh, it's so
it's
good.
got one of those Hollywood feels, and it almost like a I don't know how to put it, but like they had it in the Matrix, like where there's a fight going on, but then the camera would pan out to somewhere in the distance and it'd kind of shoot in a little bit,
Yeah.
and then cut to the fight and then shoot in a little bit more, and
The,
before you know it,
Dude,
you're there.
the tension build in this intro is just like insane. Like to be honest, it's probably the best Fear Factory opener, and that is saying a lot because their openers on every album are fucking insane. Like all of them, all 10, I'd say, have really strong openers. But Shock to me is just it's got to be at the top because like it's just that tension until that release with the shock. Like it's so good.
Oh, it's such a tough one, such a tough one.
But like, I
'Cause
think what sold it for me was going back and looking at those videos back from when this released, like 98, 99, and they open the show up with that. You got the lights going, like with the dun 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 dun. The lights are like flashing with that, and then
I think it's definitely the best one to open a show with for sure.
yeah, and then like I think that's because when I listen to it, I'm thinking about the live show as well. So I think that's what is making me say this as well. But and then you got like, what does he say? Like, we are Fear Factory, prepare for shock. That's just like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's just like the sickest way to start a show I think I've ever seen. Like, prepare for shock.
thematically, the lyrics kick in as well, don't they? You know, and they're talking about sort of bringing the system down, being a shock to the system, the kill switch that like shuts everything down. Even just the chorus, which is so, I don't know why it's got. Maybe I'm fixated on the idea because of Zero Signal, but it almost feels like it belongs in Mortal Kombat. That I have become a tyrant.
Yeah.
Oh, and then as it comes into that, I will be the power surge. Oh,
It's
I mean,
insane.
I think I mentioned it before. My fiance wasn't the biggest of Fear Factory fans, and then all of a sudden I got in the car one day, and Shock is playing, and I went to change it and looked at my phone and thought, that isn't my phone. As Dave Chappelle said, gotcha, bitch.
And I've heard like Milo saying about his parents because they're like they come from a musical background. Like his mum's a singer and his dad's a blues jazz musician, something like that. And neither of them were like metal or really had heard much of it, and they were like, we just don't get it. I think they still haven't listened to a lot of it, but because he got the gig with Fear Factory, they started actually getting into the music, and I'm like, that's amazing. And he's like, he said like his mum's like, oh, Shock's my favorite song.
I'll open with it for you, Mum.
Yeah, so funny, isn't it? But
Got a Sopranos feel.
another thing, the vocals live at the time of the release of it. What I love is like, you know that Shock. Like I don't know if you've seen him, but like he'd like hold that note like twice as long. It's like Shock, and it just sounds like he's given it absolutely fucking everything. Like you can just hear it, like that. It's not half-assed. Like,
oh yeah, it's a good way to give your lungs a quick exercise before you kick into the rest of the set list, isn't it? Jesus.
yeah, like it was just uncompromising vocals. Like, I mean, I'd say he always was like that, but back then especially, it was just like unrelentless force.
Yeah, I'd say when we've watched him, it's been a very interesting song to open with. The crowd at the end of the song is just immediately just ready for the rest of the album. Apologies, I've got hiccups.
That's right. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it totally fires everyone up. Like, there's no denying. It's an amazing opener. I think
it's
it's the right choice opening with that song, to be honest.
Thematically, from sort of like a story standpoint or an artistry standpoint, I think the opening to Aggression Continuum definitely gives it a run for its money. But I think that's just a song that I really enjoy myself in general. You know, that kind of the world we once knew kind of lead.
Yeah, it's those spoken word
They're similar
intros.
but different vibes, aren't they?
Yeah, that one gives me more of like a film kind of vibe, kind of thing. Like, I mean, Shock does as well, but that one more so. It's more like a
more modern Hollywood.
Yeah. What else was I going to say about the song? Yeah, you know, like the I have become a direct, like that, like the good cop, bad cop, as they like to call it. It was like I realized that was almost calling back to what they were doing on Soul of a New Machine, where they were darting between a bit quicker, because you know on Demanufacture it's not really like that. You've got longer sections of clean, harsh, whereas that part of Shock is very like it's like flip flopping quickly between the two things, and it harkens back to like, you know, like Big God, like look into the eyes of death, and then it would be like Yeah, so it's almost like going back to something they tried earlier, but they were like, oh, how can we work this into like a longer song? Make it like a um,
Mm.
is it?
Yeah,
I
and
guess is it the
I think
pre-chorus? I guess.
yeah, yeah, I think you're right in what you're saying,
Yeah.
and I think at the end as well, how he gets so high, not just obviously
Yeah, the
wincing
song
Meal or do
opens
it
up.
live,
It
but
opens up a lot, doesn't it?
shock as
Yeah.
it comes into those last few bars before that shock to the system, boom,
Man, yeah,
cut,
that ending as well. It
perfect.
ends as strong as it starts. Like,
Mm,
but yeah, but that and then you've got the whole clean singing bit towards the end where the song kind of opens up a lot. Like, always love that section because it it kind of like is. I wouldn't say it's progressive. It progresses a bit like into something slightly different where it's like okay, we've done a lot of the harsh vocal thing. Let's kind of like open up into a extended chorus and
mm,
I like how he like uses the same words but over like longer bars to create like it. It keeps it familiar whilst going somewhere a little bit different, using the same words and stuff. Kind of cool.
mm. Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. It's a great song,
Yeah.
definitely a fantastic one to start the album with.
This must have been
And
one. This must have been one where people heard and go, "Oh, they've got two vocalists."
yeah, and it's strange as well because it doesn't lead into Edge Crusher. It's almost like a shock in and of itself that you come into Edge Crusher and all of a sudden you've gone from that to the whole dum dum dum
Is
dum dum dum
is it for
dum.
you? Like, if you listen to Shock by itself, does Edge Crusher start playing in your head straight after? It does for me.
It does, but I think I've been pre-programmed that way now. I've listened to it
It's a
so
bit like
much.
we were talking about Holy Wars off stream. We're not streaming off
Yeah.
podcast earlier, and it's the same with Hangar 18. I hear those chords come in my head if I've
Oh,
just heard Holy Wars, even if it doesn't play. I'm just here. I can hear it.
it's mental and it's weird as well because there's so many great mixes and playlists online of people who've kind of just taken loads of Fear Factory songs and created their own playlist to the point that even now I get it wrong. You know, one thing that and it really frustrates me does this because I always know that I'm wrong, but I keep forgetting and I don't know how. I keep thinking that Dark Bodies is on Obsolete, and
Really?
it's not. It's on Digimortal, and the amount of times that I'm like
Are you,
skipping through the album, like, oh for Christ, and then you
so
realise, but it's because someone put it in a playlist somewhere
uh,
after Obsolete. So
is it so do you think Descent is on Digimortal? Do you like flip round, or do you think Descent's on
no,
Obsolete as
it
well?
just happened. It just happens to be that one song that, for whatever reason, I always think it's on Obsolete, and I know it's not.
I'll tell you what,
I know it's not.
the demo version of that song sounds a lot more like Obsolete as well. Like that one would fit in probably a bit more. I could see that.
Oh, Dark Bodies.
Yeah, the demo version
Da,
sounds way more
da,
obsolete
da,
than the
da,
Digimortal, I think.
da, da, da. Yeah, I mean, I like the way the final song ended up,
Me
but
too.
even the
Me
way it
too,
was
yeah.
originally, I still feel like there's a song there.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing with Edge Crusher as a song, so it's so interesting and unique with the um with that standing bass, and even though it's got like the breakdowns and stuff, and that chorus that brings you back in, you know, break from the edge, crusher, break from the edge, crusher. It's where it breaks it down as well, and it's got like the scratching and the samples, the da na na na
Yeah.
na da na.
But
It's
touching on the
it's
samples and stuff, like I actually wanted to
it's a
mention that.
vibe.
I wanted to mention that for Shock as well. Is I'm a Reese Glazer, all right. I'm gonna say this every time, but like I do think Obsolete is his finest hour. Like it's his best work. That and Digimortal, but more Obsolete, I think. And
Mm,
I really realized it once where I just one day I was like, I'm gonna go and find the instrumental version of the album, which I don't normally do for Fear Factory because the vocals are like one of my favorite parts. Like I think they're actually like quintessential to the sound. But I was like, just to hear what the instruments are like doing, and like the amount of stuff in this album that's underneath those vocals, like that Reese is doing, is just like unbelievable. There's parts where he's taken Bert's voice and put like little effects and reverb and echo, like distortion, all kind of stuff on his voice, and you can hear that in the instrumental versions and stuff. But it's just like on shock, like straight away you hear that bum 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 bum, like really, really, like where did that come from? How has he thought of putting that in there?
Well, you absolutely bang on the money, and you got me thinking about on the Edge Crusher remix. You can hear him at the start of the remix singing the chorus, but it's almost mechanically distorted.
Yeah,
And it's such an interesting effect, and it's little nuances like that that you pick up on, and you sort of appreciate. It's I mean, I was going to say further into the discussion as well, like Freedom or Fire is probably one of the few times where I hear Dino use a pinched harmonic, whereas if you listen to something like Black Label Society, you're getting them every riff, every song. But
yeah,
if you overuse something, it can almost become like just a token
it
or
loses
token
its
area, if that makes sense.
it loses the novelty a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, you could have kind of imagined that if they'd have carried on with like film samples and stuff, someone might eventually have gone, "Oh, it's not a Fear Factory song. We have a Terminator sample." But it's not like that. The samples that are there add to the song. They're not there just to be a nostalgia callback or for you to be like, "Oh, that's the Terminator," you
yeah.
know.
Yeah, I think Edge Crusher, if you were going to point at anything being more on the new metal edge, it would be this song for me, because it's that da 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 da, like it's got that kind of like bouncy things coming in. Hasn't got the double bass. It's got more of the drums definitely sound a lot more like that what was going on at the time kind of thing.
And
Um,
I'd say Descent as a close second because
yeah,
I could
yeah,
kind of imagine quite a few new metal bands singing either Descent or something like it.
yeah, and also the scratch disc scratching thing you were saying about as well. That was definitely. I was thinking like that's funny that came out on this album because I feel like that really exploded a bit later on. I mean,
Certainly
you've
with
got
Digimoto, you heard a
Hybrid
lot of it on
Theory.
there.
Hybrid Theory from
Mm.
Linkin Park was the one that always comes to mind where they went all in on that. But this
Oh,
it's cool that
what
this was
was?
like a couple. This is a couple years before that. Doing that.
Yeah, because I think Limp Bizkit did quite a lot of it on Chocolate Starfish
Yeah,
as well.
there had to have been some bands doing this before Fear Factory. I'm sure. It might have been more of the rap like stuff. Like I don't know a lot of those bands, so it could
But
be.
this is the interesting thing, isn't it? Like it's just that one sample in that one song, but it's memorable enough for you to never forget it.
Yeah. Oh, that bit, but you know, at the start as well, before the vocals come in, like the synth sounds so ominous. That like, "Wah, wah." It's like really like drony. Like, love that. And then you've got the vocals that come in with the guitars cut out, which I thought was always like a cool choice. Like the guitar's cut out completely, and it's conceived in
Just
hell
comes back in with that bass.
beyond your depth of perception. It's almost like half rapped actually. That section. Conceived in hell beyond your depth. Like it's the delivery of it.
Yeah, it
It,
is. It
yeah,
is. Now you say that, yeah. I, I, I think I've observed it in the past, but maybe I'd convinced myself that it was just me. Kind of like when you look for something, you find it. If that makes sense. Like
well,
part of me had thought, oh, that sounds a bit rappy, but
it's
actually, if
interesting that
someone else
bit.
says
Like,
it,
I think what made me think about it was like, well, it's like this is definitely not singing, but it's also not his normal like harsh vocal technique. It's somewhere it still has a harshness to it, but the delivery came across very different from other songs. That like dirt 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 dirt. It was more like I mean, it's almost machine like the way he delivers that.
yeah. And then it becomes more like a song as he gets to the end of the verse, isn't it?
Yeah.
Extreme rush of hatred and controlling the government. Duh, 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 duh. Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's just I think for me, Edge Crusher's like it's just a vibe. It's just such a good song. It's not one that I can see myself sort of headbanging to into the pit, but I definitely fucking groove
It's
and
more of a
vibe with it.
bouncy one. Yeah, more of a bouncy one.
Yeah, I'd say kind of in
It's
the
just
vein of
everyone's
Lynchpin, but without the party feel.
it's a scream along that song. Break off the edge, crusher. Like everyone's just doing it. Break off the edge, crusher. Break. It's just You know, the mic get handed to you.
We wish, don't we?
Yeah.
The one guy who got the mic was so happy. It's surprising as well because the remixes for Descent and Edge Crusher have been in so many things as well. It's kind of like Rob Zombie had that period where that version of Dracula that was in the Matrix was like in so many games and TV shows and films and stuff. Like it almost became iconic. I'm trying to think of the specific game. It might have been Carmageddon or some racing game where it only occurred to me years later that I thought, I'm sure this is Descent by Fear Factory, but it sounds different. And then it
Yeah.
came up in the bottom, and I was just like, oh, it is.
There you go. Yeah, and I do love the breakdown in the song. It's like the first proper Fear Factory breakdown. Like, yeah, it just like every time I've heard it 1,000 times, still gets me going. Like,
It's
it's
an interesting idea for a main character as well, Edge Crusher. And my fiance has the Shock T-shirt. I bought it for her. I found it online, and it's like the teeth, the big golden
oh
teeth in
yeah,
the
it's pretty cool
face.
that yeah.
Yeah, it's a very striking image. Is that you kind of look at it and go, oh, that's different.
It's kind of a little bit like robotic looking, sort of like but human as well, like somewhere in the middle kind of thing. Like if I
Mm.
remember right. Yeah, it's weird. It doesn't look like you look at it and you do a bit of a double take. Like it doesn't really look like a normal teeth. But
No, it's
yeah,
weird. And you kind of your imagination runs wild a bit, and you think, well, what kind of creature would have teeth like that? And
yeah.
oh my god, the next thing I know, I'm thinking about xenomorphs and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, the song, like if I remember right, this is like but basically introducing the character, isn't it? And like he's breaking out of this sort of facility.
Yeah,
Is it like
it kind of
prison? Is it like a
hinted.
prison facility, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, I think the first song kind of hinted at the gathering together, and it was more just like
Shock is like
the
that
idea
call to arms kind of thing, isn't it? It's
that
like
that's the
we're
movement.
gonna
Yeah,
fuck shit up, and then Edge is like introducing the character, and
this
he's
is
he's
our hero.
breaking out of
Mm.
prison kind of thing. If I remember right, like I said, I'm not too good at lyrics, but I feel like that's what's happening in this sort of part of the story.
Because it's interesting as well how with the next song being Smasher Devourer, like just how quickly the hero meets villain, and
Yeah,
it's like this is the brilliant thing about the album that for years I'd never really delved too deep into, which is the the narrative behind the album, the music and such, and it's almost like when you say to people like, "Oh, I didn't enjoy this character in Harry Potter because that's not how I imagined them from the book," or Lord of the Rings or something like that. It's exactly the same. Like I can sort of visualize in my head my interpretation of the words and the characters in the album and stuff like that, and it's so weird. I think if they ever actually turned it into like some form of animation or something like that, on one hand I'd be like, yeah, I'd love to see something like that. On the flip side, I'd be like, it's not going to be anything like what I thought it
yeah.
would, was
Like
it?
what
It's
does a
always the
smasher
case.
what does a smasher devourer look like to you exactly? Yeah, because like you might see it on film and be like, "What the fuck is that?"
Well, this is it. This is it. It's described as like an egg-shaped body with arms that are weapons.
Yeah,
And I think Dino said himself that Smasher Devourer was supposed to be like a cleanup tool, like a Terminator thing. Like, this human is not relaying the message we want, so please go and make sure he's not here much longer.
yeah,
And I get that. And
yeah.
it's, I think that's why it gets so catchy on the chorus that
Hmm.
I am the way. Prepare for salvation. And then even that's just a vibe in and of itself. Dun, dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun, dun,
If
dun,
if
dun, dun,
the
dun, dun.
um if the last track was the more new metal one, this is 100% the most industrial sounding on the album. I think that's undeniable. Just that dun 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 like that whole intro. Like and then the distortion on Bert's vocals, like it's like it sounds like he's going for a guitar amp or something. It's like man made me so I could kill. Like he's like singing from he is the Smasher Devourer in that part, right? Like I like that how he's got like he can use his different voices for like different characters.
You can tell he's definitely got sort of a visionary artist mind, because it's a bit of a joke, isn't it, that people kind of look at Fear Factory songs and it's always that I am the something, I am the this, I am the that. But I do think it's because Burton really sort of put himself in the shoes of the character in a way, in maybe the same way an actor
Yeah, I
has
was
to
going to say it's a
interpret
bit
who
like
that person is.
yeah, it's a bit like acting where you just have to get in that mindset and like what are the thoughts, if I was in that situation, what would I be thinking? And like in this case, it's like what is this robot thinking? It's man made me so I can kill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely got some Terminator, Matrix vibes. So many different things come to mind, and it's a powerful song, really.
It,
It's
yeah.
one that sticks with you, especially that chorus. It almost kind of makes you feel fearful, like you're being encroached upon by this machine yourself, like War of the Worlds
Yeah, I
type
I
thing.
think like now the more I think about it, that's why that more industrial sort of riff like at the start, it's reflecting that we're talking about like this AI unit, this basically Terminator kind of unit, and it's that dun 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 is and those
Dun, dun,
vocal
dun, dun, dun.
distortion. It's like we are focusing on that right now with the music, with the lyrics, with the vocals, and then
Mm.
it's later on it sort of like evolves a bit, but they stay in that for quite a while. Like if you listen to it, like they hang on to that riff for quite a long time, like through that intro,
Oh yeah, yeah.
just to hammer that point down, I guess, and then you kind of get that I am the way, and it's not for ages till you get clean vocals. That salvation, like it's a bit like Piss Christ. You got to earn it. We're not getting there like that quickly. I think it comes in like minutes, quite a few minutes down until that actually comes in.
I think the bit of the verse, the chorus, where he does say like "I am the way," it's almost like someone's getting in your face. It's like that police officer that's.
If you listen to the synth line in that, it's like it's really like ascending. It's like like you can hear it. It sounds like someone's coming towards you, like you said.
Yeah, it's like literally if you're at the front line of a demonstration or something, and the police are like pushing back with those riot shields, and they're right in the face, like
Yeah,
like you can say what you want, but this is the way. This
yeah,
this is how it is, and you can like it or lump it. To kind of summarize what we were talking about earlier.
yeah. When you hear that bit again, listen to the synth line because I think that's what gives that feeling. Because I got the same thing, 100%. I actually meant to say to you, I was like, "Oh, Dan, check out the instrumental version, just to like pick up on these little like nuances." Because I think when the vocals are going, that's where the attention is. But I was like, it's fucking crazy the amount of stuff going on in the background like that, just like
I
all over
think
the
I'll have to
place.
listen to him again. Is it
I
is
don't know
it
if
this
they're
album
official.
or? Well, I was going to say there's one of them recently that was listed as being in the public domain. Now, whether or not that's the case or not, I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I'll be
I can't
honest.
remember whether it were obsolete or
I think the ones I listened to might have just been on YouTube, and someone's probably done it potentially
just
themselves.
taking the lyrics. Yeah,
I don't know how
the
they've done it,
majority
but
of
it was just super interesting, just like to hear what's going on in the background there, and especially this song, probably more than any of them. I was like, holy fuck, there's so much going on in the background. It's like because I
I
think
think Digimortal's
on
the
face
one that
value,
I've heard
like
the most.
on face value, it can the song, the riffs can come, kind of simplistic, but then you really dig into the back of it, and you're like, holy shit, like
Well, that's it. It's the nuances and the timing and everything else that goes into it as well. Like, me and my cousin were playing through Replica the other day, and I'd pointed out to him and I said, "No, we've not got that quite right." I said, as we come out of the chorus into the verse, it does the da 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 da. So you rather than just going da 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 da, on the second time round, it's like
oh,
da 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 da.
the little difference just to spice it
Just
up.
that little choke.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. But it's all those little things that if you don't listen, like some people just have the music there as background noise. They're not really listening to it per se. It's just there to fill a void. But if you're truly listening to the sound of the music and stuff, and you hear all those little bits and bats, like
yeah,
like I said with the samples, that they're not there to I don't know, just impress, if that's the word. But
Yeah.
they add something to the song.
To be fair, in fairness, they're not really there supposed to be the focus. They are more to enhance potentially the vocal part, or sometimes they
Yeah,
come. Sometimes they're in the forefront. Like you think of Shock, like the boom, 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 like that's in your face. But then there's like little bits, like what I was just saying about that. This little section in here, it's like you're not. Yeah, I've listened to that song like 100 times. It probably wasn't until later on where I was going, oh yeah, that bit's going like that really interesting synth there in the background. So I think that's probably what makes this music so re-listenable for me, is like finding these little bits, and I'm like, fucking hell, that's been there the whole time. But I've just been so preoccupied with the vocals or riff or drums or something, and I'm like, I didn't even think about it.
it's definitely something that I love about Fear Factory is that on many different occasions, no matter how many times I've listened to an album or a song, I might find something new, or I might just have a different appreciation. I might see it from a different point of view. And some of these albums are standing the test of time, if not all of them, especially now more than ever. We talk about how obsolete's prevalent and things like that. Like the next song on the album, Securitron, like now that is one of my favourite songs on the album. It's not the favourite by a smidge, but it is definitely a song that I just love that where is security governed through scrutiny, and how it changes, like just the whole song for me is absolutely brilliant. But it's kind of like, well, yeah, who gave you the power to do these things, and why did nobody really look into that? It's like is it can't remember the name of the actor, Jeff Goldblum. He plays Ian Malcolm in the Jurassic Park films, doesn't he? And I don't think it's his line specifically in that he was the first one who said it, but I do remember a conversation where he's just like, everyone was so impressed at what they could do, they didn't think and stop and wonder if they should.
Yeah, yeah, it could well be.
They just did, and I think if we're to move on to Securitron, I think that's a brilliant example of it, talking about how VPNs are on the rise, because any website with any adult theme, whether it's just the fact that you can discuss things openly, it's got gambling, or it's got adult material or whatever, you've now got to provide your identification. And I was like, well, hang on, I'm not sure if I feel very comfortable with that, because where's my information being stored and who's it being given to? Like, if you really, really want to verify that I'm over 18, then, I've no issues with you taking a penny from my bank and putting it back. Or, PlayStation Network and Xbox Live took a common sense approach, which is like, if you got your account before such a year, so if you were using PlayStation Network in like, 2008, for example, 2007 or 2006, then you have to be 18. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah,
You've got to be 18. But even then, some places are saying you've got to be 21. And I'm like, but why? That's not a British thing. That's an American thing. I don't know where the 21 thing comes from. And, it's how everything is just policed in such a way, isn't it? Like everywhere you go, you're sort of being judged, or you've got to meet a criteria, or you've got to give something away, or
it's a
we
lot
want to
of.
know what you're doing.
You've got to give a lot of personal information these days to get pretty much most things done. Like to the point of it being quite excessive. Like where it's like, do you really need my phone number? Do you really need my email? Do you really need my house address? Like, do you need my full name? Do you need my
Exactly.
date of birth? Like, it's like you don't really get to keep any of these things anymore.
Well, this was it, and I remember when this digital ID business first came around, and a lot of companies were adopting it, and quite a few American companies were like, "Well, no, we don't have to do this.
Yeah.
We're not in Great Britain. We're not governed by your government. We don't have to do this." And the government was sending them like fines and letters and stuff, and they were just like, "Do you know what?" And then they just cut service and thought, "You want to be a dick? Fine. We won't provide our service to your country.
I mean,
No issues."
yeah, it's simple as that, really. Like, yeah.
But then we found situations where, and sorry to interrupt, but before I lose the thought, Discord and Reddit, it turned out were keeping copies of the identification because one of these age verification companies got hacked. And it's like, well, hang on a second. Why has an American company got my driver's license? Do you know what I mean?
It's almost funny. I mean, it's not funny, but it's almost funny. Do you know what I mean?
It's like there's always a cop out. There's always an excuse, isn't there? Like, you know, we say here in Europe that you've got the right to be forgotten under EU law. Now, I know we've kind of gone through Brexit, obviously not properly, because, you know, they wanted to make such a shit show of it that people had changed their mind and go, fuck it, we didn't really, whatever, it's easier just to stay, all that bollocks. But we're following the same set of laws for now, and the concept there is sort of like, from a, you know, data protection point of view, that we're all following the same legislation, right? We all do the same sort of things. It's like, but why are we having to work within that framework that's not ours, and why is that being imposed on us?
I think it probably comes back to that reliability on how many things are coming from other countries, like you were saying, websites hosted from other parts of the world. It's like adhering to that kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just to sort of like, they don't want to get alienated in a way. Maybe it's like, oh yeah, we'll comply with that. We'll do, you know, we'll follow the lead of this country.
Compliance. I don't know. That's
really
the word.
Yeah.
Sorry, that word I was thinking of earlier that began with C.
Yeah.
Compliance. Yeah, it's so crazy because you can get so swept up in it all, and you just end up frustrated. You know, everything we do is being watched. You know, like, sorry, that's what I was saying on the right to forget, isn't it? So, like, for example, the European Union is saying to Facebook, well, actually, people have a right to be forgotten. So if that person says, I don't want to use your service anymore, please delete my information, and I don't want to be on your files or anything like that, it's like European law says you have to delete that person. British and American law says if there's any possibility that that person could in future commit a crime and this information could help identify that individual, you don't have to delete it. And then you're kind of in that like, what? Hang on a second. What? Like, I don't want my details being given out, but now you're telling me that you've got them, and I don't really have a choice because depending on which side of the coin you're playing devil's advocate for.
But like you said, even if everything is completely erased, they've said everything's been, you know, completely erased off our systems. Something could have just been hacked without their knowledge easily. And even with or without their knowledge. So I'm sorry, everyone's personal details are out there in the world. If you've ever filled in any kind of form, it's probably been hacked by someone. Someone has access.
Well, this is it.
So
digital security. I mean, the NHS were using Windows XP systems until not too long ago. Windows XP, because it was too expensive to upgrade. And now
it's a nice operating system. I've sort of talked about it before. But it's a nice operating system, but it is not going to be very secure.
No, they just like the fact that when they press the power button, it goes dun 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 dun.
When is security governed by Windows XP?
By accessing websites through VPNs, Jesus Christ, and they're even coming down on them now. Speaking of Linux, even Linux has been told that it has to comply with age verification. And I say Linux, I mean it depends on which organisation or which people, which creating the distro. But you're just like, you really can't get away with it these days, can you? And there's like digital check-ins, and have you had your COVID vaccine? And it's like, oh my God, this information age is so crazy. And it's not just that Securitron is a great song, and you can really vibe to it. You know, from that opening with the sort of police samples, and then there is a fear factor in this division.
Yeah, there is.
and then kicks into that groove. But that chorus as well, like you say, is just brilliant, isn't it? And that nowhere
Yeah, I
to
love those extra
hide.
long notes. Like it's just like a very Burton kind of thing. Like I just feel like that's where he comes in from this unusual angle with the singing. It's just not
Mm.
like before him or even after him. Really, nothing was. It's just this different kind of approach. Like
I
because
mean,
you've got like
I don't know about
I'm gonna
you, because
bash I'm gonna bash some metalcore again, but like a lot of those choruses a lot of those choruses just end up like being like, am I hearing the same thing? Like, especially not so much the earlier stuff. I'll give credit to that, but like a lot of this later stuff, I'm just like, we've done it. We've done it already, guys. It's oversaturated. But then
I thought this.
you've got like the Fear Factory choruses where I'm like, they're all just so like different. Like no place to like the holding those notes like that. It's just like different.
Oh, and the guitar riff that goes with it. Oh my god, the speed on those little chugs. I and we've seen Dino live, haven't we? You look at his hand and you're like, I don't know how he's doing that. And veins just run through the arm, and you're like, that's got to be hours and hours and years of
Maybe he's got like a
practice and
robotic
technical.
arm. It just looks like flesh, but it's actually like he's got a robotic arm.
What if Dino is a robot?
Yeah,
Could you imagine if some dick just threw something on stage,
yeah.
hits him in the face, and as he turns back round, it's the metal eye of the Terminator? I'd be like, oh.
But yeah, I'd say even like since like mechanized on, well, it's probably not mechanized. It was probably like that Divine Heresy time, like where he really like dialed in that like just really really accurate because he was good, like always good. But like I feel like it was noticeable from mechanized like onwards.
Oh
You're just
yeah.
like, what the fuck, man? And then like live, yeah, he was like really really on it. But I think it was like a case of like the using they didn't used to use click tracks for one thing, and which is just fucking crazy. But not just that, it was the adrenaline back in the day must have just been absolutely overwhelming, and you're jumping around, you're running around, you're out of breath and stuff. Now where it's just like fully locked in. Like I'm concentrating like really hard on playing that like really really precise like that, and I think it shows. But
Mm.
yeah, I'd like to hear
And
this
that,
one live. Like it'd be really nice. It seems like a popular
definitely.
song, actually. It seems like a lot of people do like this one, despite it not being in the spotlight.
I honestly, I really love it. For me, it's the second best song on the album. The only reason that it doesn't get top spot is because Resurrection is just too good a
Oh
fucking
man,
tune.
easily my favorite. Yeah, we'll get to it. We'll get
But
to. I was just gonna say, by
I,
the way, I'm good to go to like half past because like I don't want to like rush the last songs in 10 minutes. So
no, that's okay. Well, I tell you what, if it works easier, we can just talk through the bog standard 10 that
no,
came with the album, and
no,
maybe have.
I'm good till half 12 if you are.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
definitely have to call it a night then. But I just don't want to rush through the last songs. But
It'll be an episode of
Sma-
Mr. Robot on
I
bed for
meant to
me.
say, I meant to say to you, Smasher Devourer. I never used to like that song very much. It's properly grown on me. It's so weird because like I used to just be like, oh, let's just get to Securitron, and now I'm like, fuck yeah, I really like it actually.
I think every album has that one song from Fear Factory that I'm like, and not to say that I hate it. It's just that song that I think I'll listen to it, but I'm more excited for the song that
Yeah,
comes after it than
a
this
little
one.
bit filler, I guess you could say.
Yeah, all filler and no killer. God, I can't remember what that's
Yeah.
from.
But the more I listen to that song, it's actually fucking addictive. I know I'm going back to the last song now, but it was just maybe it was like a bit more on the industrial side than I would ever listen to, I guess. So
Yeah, and I think for me, like I say, that song with Freedom or Fire. So it's weird that like everyone has a different song that they kind of maybe not as keen on at first, but with more listens and when you pick up the nuances and stuff like that, that you just kind of think, actually, that's really.
yeah,
I mean, for me, Jesus, that was the entirety of the Industrialist. I listened through it when it first came out and thought, that wasn't really what I'd hoped for after, the heaviness of Mechanize. But a month or two down the line, I couldn't turn it off.
Yeah, yeah. Final thoughts on Securitron was I just want to say like that whole chorus bit. I love how the synth is doing the exact same melody as like what Burton's doing, but it's like a couple octaves higher, I guess. It's really high, like that, just holding the same notes, and it creates a really cool sound. And it's like it's weird to me in a way that they hadn't done more of that before, because that's the first thing. It's like, oh yeah, just do the vocal melody. Maybe it was like too simple, but it just works so well on that song. Just following the same to emphasize that sort of chorus.
I'd like to know how they did the ending as well, because it sounds like a sitar, like an Indian guitar, but I don't think it is.
I love that little nugget of like mellow outro, and that goes really well into the next song, right? Like it's Descend next, right?
Yeah, so it's that down din 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 whoa.
Yeah, it's just like a really nice like little moment of calm into like the more chill song of the album. Boom, boom, boom. I love the intro of that guitar. It's just like it just puts a smile on my face every time, like that Descent intro riff.
Do you know what the funny thing is with Descent? I always thought it was the perfect song to kick off the end credits in like some action film. Like at the end of Blade.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you're
I
right.
expected to hear Descent.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like
it could be at the end of like an action
black.
film or something. Like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's the screen goes black. Do 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 do. Because it's got that kind of I don't know, just upbeat kind of feel good.
I feel like this song kickstarted a lot of like those kind of like Dino chords, I like to call them, because I feel like on the first two albums maybe there was little hints, but on this song especially, that is like something that you can hear it throughout the rest of the catalogue. Those kind of like open notes. Like if you think about you were saying like Dark Bodies earlier, that's kind of got those open notes. A lot of Digimortal actually, and then you've got basically the last four albums have a lot of those open notes. Like most choruses kind of have it. So I feel like he found something kind of new again there, where it's a nice contrast from those like really syncopated things. They're almost like the opposite. Suddenly the palm mutes are gone, sustained open notes. It's like, I call them Dino chords.
And I'm not sure if you'd agree with me on this, but it almost feels like lyrically, Descent is like a slightly less angry version of Replica. Like instead of I am rage, I am hate. I feel nothing.
Yeah.
How do I descend? Da, 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 da. Like for me, it was almost like if you took Replica and made it a happy song.
It's weird.
You kind of got Descent.
It's like happy and sad at the same time, isn't it? Like it I find it really uplifting, but then the lyrics and like the voice has a bit of a somber kind of vibe to it, especially. Well,
this was the thing that kind of made me go, oh, and I don't know whether it's because maybe there was more that was meant to go into the story, but I believe Descent is like a chapter in and of itself in the story of Obsolete. It's the idea of Edge Crusher being tracked down for so long by Smasher Devourer and the Securitron and the Police 2000 that he goes underground and is like, can survive, because the movement unfortunately has been crushed by the powers that be, or is being crushed, should I say, and in his attempt to survive, he just keeps going down and down and down. It gives me kind of a Demolition Man vibe, if you've ever seen that.
No, I haven't, don't think.
You've never seen Demolition Man?
Not that I remember.
Henry. Quintessential Sylvester Stallone classic.
Oh my God.
And I guarantee you'd really see a lot of the themes from this album in Demolition Man. And I won't describe the whole movie, but just to kind of explain the relevance of the track. So it's like It's Wesley Snipes is the bad guy. Sylvester Stallone's the good guy. Good guy catches bad guy in the very beginning, but good guy is also a bit of a bad guy, so he gets punished by being frozen. And then years and years down the line, his services are needed again, so they unfreeze him. And you've kind of got this society of people who fall into place and comply. Thus, your Securitrons and your people who go along with what's going on. But then underneath the city is another city where the people who don't want to comply, the people who had freedom and thoughts and expressions, they're living there. And it's kind of like that sort of vibe where, I get this idea that, because the first thing you think when people say go underground is sewers. I mean, I don't know if you agree, but that's the first thing that comes to my mind. So I can just imagine this sort of Terminator-esque fight, laser guns and stuff like that. And you come to the point where you think, Christ, I'm getting my ass kicked. I've got to get away.
Just
So
a
you
bit
crawl
down
into,
the line, yeah.
yeah, you crawl into the sewers and you make your way down to this underworld, and you sat there like, yeah, I remember when this was civilization, and now it's very Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, I think one thing with the song as well, the placement is absolutely perfect. Like in the middle of the album, it needed that. It needed something to just like a little bit of calm before the storm comes back in, kind of thing. It's a bit
Give
like
your neck a break for high tech hate.
yeah. It's a bit like sort of that similar placement of like Dog Day Sunrise, but I feel like this one, because it's an original song, I definitely think it's like better. Although I do like Dog Day Sunrise, but I feel like I think they really tapped into something new here with this kind of song. They were like, oh, we found how we can keep our sound, but do it in a bit more of a calmer kind of way. Like, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and this is something that I've said multiple times, but I definitely appreciate about Fear Factory is like you get a lot of different tempos, you get a lot of different speeds. Some songs can be quite chuggy. Some songs might be a constant grind of like Regenerate or something like that. But then you get those songs as well that are a bit more mellow. They don't need as much of the double bass and the constant guitar or
Yeah,
the grind of
they're not really like the epic closing track. It's more of this sort of like yeah, it's like very open like strings and stuff. Not many palm mutes, not many double kicks, that kind of thing. Like you said, it's just something
yeah.
just opens it up a bit more.
And whilst it doesn't have kind of that, I don't know how to describe it in words just yet. I'm trying to think of how to properly explain it. But if you compare previous albums to Digimortal, like Digimortal just feels more upbeat. It feels happier. It feels more like a, I don't know how to describe it, but it's got like a lighter sound. And just thinking about like what will become, you've still got that quintessential Fear Factory sound, but it's not relying upon the quickness or the speed,
That's
to
true.
really give it that
Yeah,
unique identifier. And I think you've got a good mix of that on this album. Descent is a brilliant example of how you don't need to rely upon the chug and the quickness and those fast riffs to still get a great song. Whereas like Digimortal, and again I know we'll come on to that album another time, but that album feels like it had the least of the double bass and the quick.
yeah. I think the lyrics, like not only with the story, but I feel like Burton said it reflected his like his own like personal life. I think he had like a bit of a depressive episode back then. I'm not actually sure
Yeah,
why. And like I think people like would just be like, "Oh my god, yeah, but your band was like peaking at that time." But it just doesn't work like that. Like your mental state.
no.
There's a lot of change. Can you imagine like going from this little band in LA playing in people's gardens and stuff to then like, fucking playing on those festivals on the main stage with just an ocean of people. It's like but I mean I don't know what else was going on in the personal life, but we know that there was a lot of change there, and it's got
Yeah,
to affect you mentally, like good way or bad way. Like,
it's where the cracks started to show in it. We'd already had difficulties legally. We'd
mm,
already had regret that that they were still with Roadrunner. when realistically they probably wish they were somewhere else. Nuclear blast, some shit like that. I don't even know if they were around then, to be honest. But there were quite a lot of things that I think the band had to be happy about. Quite a lot of things that each individual member probably didn't like, whether it was a business decision or potentially another band member. I think Descent is a great sort of what's the word, personification of that sort of feeling, which is it's still got quite a decent vibe and stuff, and it's still like, well, I'm just getting on with it kind of thing. But at the same time, the theme of that song is it's like I'm going deeper and deeper and deeper because I'm just trying to fucking cope.
Yeah.
Like life can't stop. We know that, but I'm not in a great place.
Yeah.
And like you say, I do remember reading something about Burton saying at the time that he were in a really bad place and he'd sort of betrayed his friends and family and stuff. And it's not really my place to start asking questions like, well, what did you do? What happened? And da 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 da. He doesn't have to explain himself to me, but you can hear it in the song that there was something in terms of the lyrics.
Yeah, it actually I can relate because like my early 20s, I was just like in a real like dark place mentally, and it's like a place you never want to go back to, and it's probably like similar with him with that and this song and everything. It's like whatever conjured up those lyrics and that is like it's just not a place you ever want to go back to. Really, you don't want to descend, you want to ascend. So. Yeah.
Well, that's it, and it was. I suppose you can look at it metaphorically as well, in that Edge Crusher in the story was so sick and tired of running away and going underground and trying to escape from Securitron and Smash a Devourer that he just led down and went to sleep. So it's like depression, isn't it? You just kind of think, do you know what? Can't be arsed with anything. The only thing that makes me happy right now is sleep.
Yeah.
So the character puts his head down and speaks the lyrics of the song.
Yeah. It's like it's showing that spectrum of like human emotions, and I think it kind of like contrasts with the oppressors, like the whole like Securitron thing. And it's like at the start he's like absolutely fired up, like, shit's going off, but then it's like things don't always go your way, and then like it's the spectrum of human emotions, like you can be really up and you can be really down. So
well, that's it. And then the character of Edge Crusher is all of a sudden sort of doubting himself and wondering whether his mission actually has value and if it's worth going on with it. And anyone in that position as well probably has had that thought process of fuck it, why bother?
Yeah.
Is anyone going to care? Is anyone going to be bothered?
I think everyone has those kind of like thoughts at some point. Like,
yeah.
It's just like part of being human, I guess.
But at the same time, it's strange because it's not a depressing song. Like the lyrics describe a person in a cycle of depression, but the song itself is quite a vibe.
Yeah, like when it really kicks in, like I am nothing. I feel. It's almost like getting it out. It feels like you're getting it out. Like, yeah, I will scream about this, get it out of my system, and then fuck it, it's gone. Like that's what it feels like to me. If it really like, I mean, he's described it a lot that music is just like an absolute like therapy for him, and like that's exactly probably what this song was. You can really feel like get that shit off your chest, like literally, like.
Yeah, and it's another one of those, a little bit like we were saying with Securitron as well, where that ending as it fades out is just so good as well. The like, how deep did I descend?
Yeah,
and then how it kind of goes da 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 da, like just the little touches.
Yeah, definitely. And like, I don't know if you saw him performing this like last year, but I was like, holy shit, man! Like he did such a good job on this, like Burn, like performing this song, and I was completely taken aback because I was like, I don't feel like I've heard him sing it like that in like such a long time. Like back in like I don't know, like 2004 or something. I was just like, man, like the break must have done really well, and like he's just fired up again. I was just like, really, I was like thinking like. Someone like late 50s like that, it's like it's fucking hell, it's amazing.
this was a big thing, wasn't it? That everyone said that, like, half of the people were saying, "Oh, Burton's lost his voice." The other half were saying, like, well, maybe not half, maybe I'm over exaggerating there, but a lot of people said he'd lost his voice. A lot of people said, he can't sing anymore. A lot of people said that it wasn't Fear Factory without Burton. I mean, I just
There's a lot of
take
different things floating around out there. What I will say is, I think like back when they reformed a bit in like the 2010s, like I feel like he had a bit of trouble then. I think he even said like he had a bit of trouble, had to get some coaching and stuff. But I wonder if it was just that case of getting a bit older. They played really long sets and like just extensive tours. And I'm like, you're not your same self, are you? Back in like, your 20s or early 30s. It's just like, that's a huge toll on the body.
I was speaking to a friend who's really big into like his 60s and 70s stuff, and he likes things like Deep Purple, Pink Floyd, all that kind of stuff. And he was showing me, because we're talking about Bert and the idea of how vocals change and stuff, and he was showing me two versions of a song, and for the love of my money, I wish I could tell you what it were called. And it were a Deep Purple song, and he's like, right, this is how he sung it in the 70s, 80s, whichever it were, and he's like, and this is a live version of how they sing it today. And it was two complete different ways to sing the song, but both of them were fantastic. And I was like, what a voice. And he's like, voices change.
Yeah.
But then the one thing that I will say about Burton, especially going off that, is I don't think he's as done and finished as people seem to think.
I think like, yeah, all that touring back then must have just been like way too excessive, and that's not going to do your voice any favors. But then to take that break for like, a really significant amount of time, just to sort of, really think about like, what do I want to do and stuff, and then like getting back on the road must feel so fucking good that you're going to be so motivated. You got your new band together, like you're ready to like you've recharge it. There you go.
Yeah, and you've got to look after it as well. You have to look after it. I mean, I remember, I don't know the full ins and outs of it, because obviously it were a long time ago now, and it's not something we look back on and think, oh, who were right, who were wrong. It's just something that happened. But sort of touching on something you said earlier about Divine Heresy, there was the whole thing with Tommy Vexed, which is that he was smoking, he was drinking, he was fucking his voice up. When it came time to perform, my understanding is, and again, I don't know if this is true, but he tried cutting a show early and being like, Dino, I can't do this now. We're going to have to call it a day. Huh. This is my understanding. And again, this is just speculation. I don't know anyone personally involved with Divine Heresy. I've never asked Dino this in the few times I've spoken to him. This is just purely information that was being shared around the internet at the time. I believe there were a lot more issues with Tommy Vexed, but the thing that brought it to a head, so I'm told, is the fact that they did a gig. It were coming down to like the last one, if not two songs, and Tommy were like, yeah, I can't do it, Dino, we're just gonna have to call it a night, mate, my throat is fucked. And Dino were like, well, if you'd have taken better care of your fucking voice, everything would be better, but we're playing this song. So Dino started playing the song. Tommy allegedly forced himself through it, didn't do a great job of it, and then afterwards an argument ensued, at which point Tommy punched Dino. Now, again, I don't know whether there's a great deal of truth in that. This is all second-hand information on the internet, and who lies on the internet?
No one.
Exactly. So this is all like, I mean, to me it sounds perfectly believable. Tommy's upset quite a few people. There's a reason why he keeps getting kicked out of his bands and stuff like this. And it's a shame, because, as a voice, I like his voice, but you can't make excuses for the person. But in that sense, it makes me sort of think back to Burton, as you rightly say, if he's constantly going at it. I mean, these guys were recording and playing so often. You're talking a 3-year release cycle, which sounds a lot, but in the meantime, you're doing all that touring, you're doing all that writing. It can't be easy. And a voice, unlike a machine that you can pick up like a guitar, it's organic. There's no, you can't just change the tuning heads, you can't just change the strings or put a new skin on the drum.
Yeah, and I always, when they reformed a bit, I always got a little bit of a vibe of it. There was a little bit of tension there of like money, like And
Mm,
it goes back to what we were saying earlier about basically all music just getting ripped on the internet.
yeah.
So they were probably in a mindset of like that, 2010, like the whole world had changed then with the music industry, and it was like I've seen some of the interviews. They were really saying like, please get to a show, please come out to a show, please get some merch, bring your
Mm.
friends. Like there was like a strong focus there on like we need to get on the road, we need to get people at our shows, we need to get merch in their hands because like the record sales just aren't doing it anymore. Like that's the income is not coming from there at that
Well,
point.
this is it.
So it's a
We
big
went into
change.
HMV in Blackpool the other week, and I was like, how in the world is it two for £25 on CDs? CDs two for £25 when you've got Music Magpie who doesn't even pay 10p for a CD. I don't know anybody else, realistically, in the grand scheme of things, who has a CD player. Not something that can play CDs, but I mean a dedicated CD player
Yeah.
because we have phones,
I
we
mean,
have
I'll be
Alexas,
honest. I
we have smart speakers.
Yeah, I am guilty of it, and I know like you've got quite a good collection of stuff going, and I do.
Mm,
I think the money I've got, I do just try to put it towards like the tickets and the merch and stuff. Like I'd love to have
mm.
like a nice CD collection, vinyl and everything, but I've got a limited amount of money, and I'm like, I'm gonna put it
Well, this is it.
where it's gonna benefit the band, and it's what I want to use it for, which is actually gonna go and see the shows is what I really want to go and do. If I had money for both, I'd fucking do it, but I've got to basically pick, and I'm like, I can still support the band and I can still see them, so that's kind of like my mindset. But
Well, this is it. And as much as I like buying this merch and stuff, I try and buy new where I can. The
yeah,
difficulty is it's getting so expensive to produce stuff. Profit margins must be tiny anyway. I remember when my reindustrialized CD came through and I had recorded and Aggression Continuum because they all kind of came out over space of a year or two, didn't they? And I took time to certainly after Obsolete, I took time to go through the manuals, look at the artwork, listen to the CDs and stuff. But from a purely financial point of view, that's not where the money is.
no,
I can only imagine how many CDs they'd have to sell. And people like me and you are enthusiasts of music. We can love it. I mean, the CDs that I've got now, because I physically can't find the music on any streaming service.
yeah, yeah.
The,
There's still a few, isn't there? So,
well, they might not know who owns the rights. That's a big one.
mm,
Or the artist might be dead, or there's something that's just in limbo somewhere. And how many times do you see people complain on Fear Factory groups saying, "Oh, Archetype and Transgression isn't
the fact
available
that
on our
still
stream"?
comes up, I'm just like, it's been like this question has been asked like 1,000 times, man. Um,
It must be frustrating for people though, because I'm like, "Ha ha, it's on mine,"
yeah,
and the Australians as well. They're like, "Have a look at this."
I know. It's just like we're just like, wait.
Exactly, and
Yeah,
it's like go and buy the CD.
yeah. Actually, we better go back on track. Any final thoughts on Descent?
Um, no, just a great song, great vibe,
Yeah, great song,
definitely a highlight.
and the placement I think was just perfect, like right in the middle there. Really, I really think without it, it would have been a very different album.
Mm.
And it was needed. It was really needed. But that goes on to was it Freedom or Fire?
High Tech Hate.
Oh fuck me, High Tech Hate. I should have known that. This song was a massive grower for me. Like actually, just recently, it's like really started to click a lot more. Like for a while, I was just like, it's the heavy song. It's definitely. I think it's probably the
Mm.
heaviest on the album, and I used to like it for that. And it probably hits even harder because it's just after the more calmer track. Um, I don't know. I don't know why I used to not click, but now I'm just like, fuck yeah, and I really like the singing bit in it as well.
I think I can agree to an extent. It's still probably the song on the album that I listen to the least, and it's not that I hate the song. It's just not one that I get the desire to listen to as much. I, I can't really put an explanation to it. It's the one song that if it's on, I'll happily listen to it. I won't skip it. It's definitely a song I'll listen to because I enjoy it. But you know, I can put Descent on repeat. I can put Resurrection on repeat. Most of these songs I can put on repeat. It's not really a song that I would. I feel like once I've heard it a couple of times, I'm good for a while.
I'm like that, but with the title track.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So what you just described is how I feel about that song. But for this one, I used to feel like that about this one, but it's grown on me massively, and I don't really know what it is. It's just I think it's the speed. It's so fast compared to the other songs. It's just like fucking in your face, and like the singing, the chorus feels very different to the other songs. Like the "We are losing weapons controlling," like that bit over the like the drums are just going like just rapid fire underneath that singing, and it creates like a cool kind of effect. I think that's what has drawn me to it more recently is like how different that chorus is compared to the other song. That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. No, I see where you're coming from. I don't know. I think it's just a song. I think. Do you know what I think it might be? I think I Tech Hate was one of the songs that I really listened to a lot
Yeah.
when I first got the album there or thereabouts when I could start affording my own music and stuff. I mean, I'm sure I mentioned in the past that I ended up getting a paper round, and with the money from that, I was able to go to a local music shop we had called Music Zone, and I'm sure, absolutely positive, that Digimortal was like the most recent album when I first started going, because I remember buying Archetype and Transgression there, and it wasn't long after Transgression that unfortunately this particular shop shut down.
Hmm.
You know, as digital was kind of becoming the thing. But High Tech Hate at the time, I, I I just remember that I spent more time with the latter half of the CD than I did with the former half, if that makes sense. Like tracks
Yeah.
5 through to 10 to Angry Teenage Me were the ones that I just vibed with that much that I just wanted to listen to them all the time. And as years have gone by and I've sort of mellowed out a little bit, it's the
Yeah.
other way around. The
Yeah, you can
second part of
overplay.
the album.
You can definitely overplay stuff. I feel like if it's probably the this song and the next two songs is like I feel like is a little bit in the more filler territory, but it's still they're still all good songs. I think. Um, but
Yeah, and as I say with Freedom or Fire, you know that's another one that for me at one time I was like, I'll take it or leave it. If you want to play it, cool. If you don't,
yeah,
cool. You know, I'm not going to cry about it. But then time goes on, and I'm like, wow, this is actually a killer track.
I like I like aspects of it. I think the drumming is really cool. It's like there's a bigger focus on the drumming than the other tracks, especially in the intro and stuff. And you've got like the weird synth bass bits, like you were saying, and like there's some like little drum sounds. They sound like MIDI drums or something cool like that. Kind of like that. It's just something different.
Mm.
Um, I think one thing I was like, I'm not sure I'm on board with is like, you know how like at the start it's just like that, like the guitars like that single note kind of thing. I've always got like a bit of a like corn kind of vibe thing, and I'm like, oh, it doesn't feel very Fear Factory that like just the open strings. But then I'm like, it's kind of different to the rest of the album, so I think it's probably good to have that variety.
With the sort of
No, just like before that, you know, like in the intro, there's all the drumming, but like the the guitar is just like holding like a kind of higher pitch sort of note, like well, and then the drumming's like
right. No, no, yeah, I follow you.
well, like I don't know. Yeah, it's alright. It's just like I don't. They never kind of did that before or after, so it kind of felt like a bit of a product of its time that bit. But yeah, it's not bad.
It always reminds me of Ziltoid the Omniscient, only because they both have those lines "cowards to war," but they're sung so similarly. It's such a strange thing that one song on that album can remind me of something completely different.
Yeah. But I think my gripe with it is the chorus. It just doesn't do it for me in Freedom or Fire. It's like it doesn't. It feels kind of like it doesn't have like that like power like the other songs do. I think for me.
I can see where you're coming from, and
Yeah.
I think perhaps that's one of the reasons why it grew on me as a song is more of the it's more of the synth aspects of that song that I
Yeah,
really appreciate. Like I was saying with the ending with that do new new
yeah.
new new, that sort of low drone synth bass. But um, I don't
Don't
know.
get me wrong, I still really like the song, and the breakdown bit is awesome, and the pinch harmonics you were saying, that's sick.
Yeah, you really don't see that much in Fear Factory songs, and maybe it's just the fact that, like we say with the with the samples, you don't want it just to become like a token. Like in the same way that if you listen to Black Label Society, pinched harmonics are everywhere. But in Fear Factory, wow, I'm struggling to even think
The
of.
one that always comes to mind for me is Recharger, and it's like I remember when I was first listening to that song, I was like, wow, this riff can't.
Mm,
I was like, this riff can't be any sicker, and then it gets sicker with the pinch harmonics. I was like, it can.
well, yeah, because it threw me off the first time because it's a pinch, but it's in quite a low tuning, isn't it?
Yeah,
So it's just a bum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba
it's
bum
so
ba
good.
wee. I had to stop at first, and I was like, "Has my CD skipped?"
Yeah,
You just
but,
like,
but yeah, going back to the Freedom of Fire one, yeah, the pinch harmonic and that little, it's like a quick little breakdown, but I think it really like it uplifts the song quite a bit. That it's just like, whoa, where'd that come from? Like,
yeah, it's needed. It feels like there's something that's there that needs to bridge the song together. And I suppose you don't. Another thing that you don't hear a lot of in Fear Factory is like guitar solos.
hmm,
I suppose you question, would it have been a good place for a guitar solo? Possibly, but then that they're not. I don't think it's about the flamboyance of the showmanship of lead guitar, really, is it? Especially
no,
when you've got the world's best rhythm guitarist at your fingertips. I've no doubt that Dino can shred. I mean, Jesus, if you've heard, is it Impossible Is Nothing on Divine Heres's first album, Failed
I know he was
Creation?
playing way higher up in the neck on some of those songs. Yeah,
Yeah, because I remember. I think that is the song because it starts off with like a bit of a breakdown, and then you get like a woo, like a dive bomb, and then and
yeah.
you're like, oh my god, his fingers are just going so fast, and uh, I think
You gotta
I
remember as
think if you
well, late '90s, like solos were not in. Like they just weren't. Like no,
no,
that it had been done to death in the '80s and like early '90s, and I think it was like I don't know if I wouldn't say bands were anti it. It just wasn't really in. Like
yeah, I mean I think to bands like Ramstein, and I really can't think of any.
they've got a couple of like leads, but I don't know. I think there's on the first two albums. I feel like there might be the odd little solo, but nothing major.
Yeah, it's really got to fit with the song, hasn't it? Or it's got to sort of come into the structure very well.
Yeah,
I mean, what one that I can think of in modern memory is Monolith. And it's only a short, if brief, but it's all it needs for that moment. It doesn't need sort of 2 minutes and scales and pinches and
yeah.
pentatonics and stuff like that. So yeah,
You know,
I suppose it pulls it together quite nicely.
yeah. Freedom of Fire, like I'm trying to remember where that's at in like the storyline. I'm having a look at the
That
lyrics
is,
again.
it's where there's a
Oh,
demonstration going on against the police, isn't there? And one man basically decides, if we're not going to win this, I'm going to make a statement. So he pours petrol all over himself,
fucking hell.
sings the lyrics to Freedom or Fire, and sets himself on fire, which I
Mental.
believe is something that a particular Vietnamese person did back in the war as a
It,
bit of a statement to say,
yeah, it was a monk and he's just like sat there and like apparently didn't even like flinch or make a noise. It's just like how it's something like that you think is actually impossible. Like it's it's hard to imagine someone like doing that to themselves. Like it's crazy.
this is it. It's a perfect example of self-control. I mean, I remember a friend of mine who ended up becoming a nurse telling me that the funny thing with burn victims is like, when the flames eat through the nerve endings, you don't even realize you're in pain anymore. So your brain, if anything, makes you feel like you're in excruciating pain when reality, there's no pain receptor.
Yeah,
You know, and like scar
psychological.
tissue is the same sort of thing. It's weird. Yeah, exactly like phantom pain. It's so strange.
Yeah,
But it is quite a powerful statement. And I think again, having read the book for the album, it gives you that extra appreciation for the song when you know what the theme was in the story of Obsolete.
yeah. Yeah, look at the lyrics. I'm on the threshold of revolution. I'd rather burn than be held down, forced down. There you go.
Mm.
Set
Freedom or
ablaze for
fire.
liberation. Set ablaze, set ablaze.
Bum ba bum ba bum bum ba bum bum ba bum.
And then yeah, the title track. You've got Gary Newman coming in on that spoken word.
I love Gary Newman.
Yeah, I never really like dug into his music until like last year, and I was like, man, I have been missing out. Like, I still haven't done like a deep dive, but I went back and just listened to like Pleasure Principle, and I was like this is fucking
Honestly,
crazy.
a very interesting thing about Gary Newman, aside from the fact that I believe he's autistic, is that he's a bit like Burton in that he's a concept writer. So the Pleasure Principle was actually based on a book that he wrote. And a lot of the songs, for example, if you listen to Down in the Park, which, has been covered by Marilyn Manson, Nine Inch Nails, quite a lot of big modern bands, kind of throw back to Gary Newman, because even though he was quite popular for songs in the mainstream like Cars and Our Friends Electric, people weren't listening to the lyrics. They were listening to the music and the synths and stuff like that, but the lyrics were really fucking dark. Especially if you listen to Down in the Park, literally down in the park where the Mac men meet, down in the park where the Mac men meet, and play Kill by Numbers. Literally machines go out and just kill humans because it's like, fuck it, we want some sport. And it's quite dark stuff, but you can see how it relates really well to Fear Factory. And when I had that moment of realization that it was Gary Newman, I was like, shit, this is brilliant.
Yeah. It's interesting how his music is like what he did in the 70s. It's almost like it skipped a generation of influence, because the 80s kind of went that different. Yeah, there were synths and stuff, but it went this different direction. But then, yeah, you got bands like Fear Factory and stuff that are sort of bringing back something that he was, doing back then, which is kind of interesting to me. But like, he's definitely like an innovator. Like, you put on some of those early songs, and you're like, where the fuck is this coming from? Doesn't sound like anything. It doesn't sound a thing like anything else that was coming out. That was the first thing I thought when I listened to it. I was like, it takes an interesting artistic mind to come up with something like that. Like, I've heard a lot of people saying like he sort of like predates a lot of that industrial music, but the beats were kind of there, right? Like, I mean, Cars is a good example, really. Like,
the beats and the primitive synths, absolutely, but I don't think the sound that he would have wanted out of a guitar was kind of there yet or accessible. Because I mean that money. I mean, it was sort of late 70s, weren't he, Gary? He started early with the Tubeway Army, but the cost of equipment and stuff would have been exponential. But by the time you've established yourself, you can't change too much. I mean, Depeche Mode are another brilliant example. Like, I know so many people who love modern Depeche Mode, and I hate it. Like, I don't know what people are hearing in it. But if someone said to me, "What's Depeche Mode to you?" Well, I just can't get enough, and I just can't get it. Da, 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 da. And it's a completely different sound.
like,
It's a completely different feel.
It's way more upbeat. It hasn't got that dark atmosphere. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas I feel like if Gary would have had the opportunity to have a guitarist, possibly like Dino, or just someone who could have got the sound he wanted out of a guitar back then, I think he might have been more of what we might consider new metal today. To be honest with you,
yeah.
I mean, some of his live shows at the moment has a guitarist.
It comes from his name,
Newman, new metal,
new metal, man.
New metal, all inspired by Gary Newman.
I had a little look into his 80s stuff though, and I heard it gets a bad rep, but I was really enjoying it. But I like that stuff. I like the new wave whole scene and stuff. I know it's quite like different. Like you might think it's complete shit. I don't know, but I was actually quite
No,
interested what he was doing because he still retained some of those like synth lines and stuff. Like so, yeah, it was cool.
I think the thing that he ran into was the times and how things were changing so quickly. Like in the 80s, if you had a niche, it were great, but the second that it stopped being a niche, you're in a bit of trouble,
Yeah,
unless you were like someone who could really withstand the test of time. Because I mean, it wasn't pop, it wasn't jazz or funk or disco or electro. It was, like you say, it was synthwave stuff, weren't it? And Mr. Kitty, who had that. As the hours fly, I will let you know. Da, 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 da. And now it feels like synthwave is having a bit of a comeback, which is weird
yeah,
because his popularity is coming back as well. I mean, I believe at Glastonbury he had an absolutely fantastic gig, but you know, looking at the music as he's faded into obscurity, being told that he had to change, and then he kind of came back,
yeah.
but he
It
came
seemed
back in
like
the metal scene.
I don't know too much, but it seems like yeah, in the '90s he sort of like went back to that way darker sound and kind of stuck with it again. Like that's the impression
Yeah,
I've got. But
like one of his best albums for me is Telecon, and that has a
oh
song
yeah,
on there called "I Die, You Die," and that is just such a fantastic song. That needs a metal cover, like Fear Factory
there
metal.
might be one out there.
But I've looked, I've
Oh right,
looked and looked and looked, and
let's make
it's
one.
just a bit obscure.
Let's do
I'd
it.
like to, but I wish I could figure out that bloody riff on guitar. That'd be a
You
start.
figure out the riff, I'll figure out the vocal.
Yeah, go ahead, deal. But yeah, it's interesting that it keeps creeping up in these places. Like I knew that he did Cars with obviously a Recover song, but I never knew that he spoke on Obsolete. I never knew just how much he inspired like Filter and Nine Inch Nails and even Marilyn Manson. It's
Yeah,
crazy to think the influence he's had. So when you hear him at the beginning,
yeah,
it's
that creepy
a bit of a
vocal
shock,
effect.
really.
I think his
Yeah.
accent is like a bit unusual. Even here, I'd say he's got a bit of an odd accent. Like, I don't know if you'd agree, but like that
Mm.
combined with this like futuristic voice effect, it's like fucking hell. Like man is obsolete. Like
It's quite a declaration as well when he
yeah,
says it, isn't it? It's like,
yeah,
man, it's obsolete.
yeah, fucked.
And I think that's the idea is that in the story, after the man's immolated himself, that the police push back against the people rioting, and one of the security guards with a loudspeaker literally shouts, "Man is obsolete." It's kind of like, get back in your place.
Yeah, I think like the actual track, like I do like that bit where it's like man is obsolete.
Obsolete.
Erased,
Mm.
extinct. Like it does like hit home a bit. It's like fucking hell. Again, probably one of the heaviest songs on the album. It does go hard in that respect. I think it just pales a little bit with some of the other songs because like the lack of. I don't think there's any clean singing on it, so it doesn't.
Mm.
It has that hook, the one I just mentioned, but other than that, that's like kind of the bit I remember from it the most.
I must admit, it's not a short song, but it feels like it goes by quite quickly.
I suppose, yeah, yeah, I could probably get behind that. Yeah, I think I actually like heard in an interview like Dino said it's his least favorite song that he's written for Fear Factory, which I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like all albums, but that's what excluding stuff like Back the Fuck Up because he didn't like write that song and stuff apparently. But so yeah,
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's a tough one. I kind of feel like if you listen to the B sides and the extras and stuff, it's like something had to give.
hmm.
But it's brave in a sense that they've given the title track and the title to that track
Hmm.
of a song that he didn't really enjoy as much. It's pretty brave to do that.
Yeah, true. I think it does. What I will give it credit for is yeah, it does hammer that point down, and it's really making a statement there before we get into closing track or closing tracks. I kind of consider the next two like almost like one song,
Mm.
um, and I think it was good to have something like fucking heavy to go into that ending, just to get a nice bit of contrast going. So I'll give it that.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's an interesting song. It's one of those kind of take it or leave it ones for me. You know, if I'm listening through and it's there, brilliant. If it's just on the shuffle and it's not, then
I wouldn't.
again,
Yeah,
I don't
weirdly,
mind.
I wouldn't remove it from the album, if that makes sense. Like, I'd still want to keep
Yeah,
it in there. Yeah, I think it's needed still. But yeah,
maybe if Dino could have gone back and had a look at it again, there might have been things that he'd have changed that might have made it a song that he would have enjoyed more. I suppose it's one of them. At the end of the day, they're under a time constraint as well, aren't they? And they've got to kind of get on with it.
yeah,
I'm not sure exactly when it was written in the grand scheme of things either, whether it was a song towards the end of production or
yeah. Could have been at the end or
an early
something.
one.
Maybe they needed one
Yeah.
more. Or, I don't know. But I think I know Milo's performed it like once or twice, but I can't remember what that was like. But I know they're going to do it again because they're doing the full album and the bonus tracks live. So that would be interesting.
Oh,
I hope they record that,
yes.
and I think they will because it's in the whiskey, and they always record those shows in there. They've got proper cameras set up, so that would be cool.
Yeah, it's definitely somewhere I'd like to go to.
Yeah, that would be a cool place to see him, like for sure. Right now into my favorite song.
The favourite song.
It's actually not only is it my favorite Fear Factory song, it's like one of my favorite songs of all time. Like probably top three all time, any genre, any band.
It's a belter. It is an absolute belter. It is one of the best by the band. I'll give it that. I think I, I like a lot of things about it. I like where it fits in the Obsolete story, in how the character of Edge Crusher ends up sort of wandering into a church and coming across a statue that it's not overly clear because it doesn't use those words. But when you read between the lines, you're like, oh, he's walked into a church. This is Jesus Christ on the cross. And like we were saying as well, in the T in Obsolete is a cross. So
Yeah.
it's kind of got that religious theme as well. So that's quite interesting. And
Oh, yeah.
um,
The way it starts, man.
wanting to,
The way it starts with
yeah,
those chords on the keyboard, and then like the vocals just it's just vocals and keyboard, isn't it? At the start, it's like
yeah,
um,
consumed with memories. Yeah,
that
and the video is an absolute
preceded
banger.
yeah, it's so good. And then like when he like the note just before the guitars and drums kick in, he like sort of like pushes vocals like up a
Oh,
bit, and then
away.
yeah, and then
Bum, 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 da, bum, 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 da.
so good. It's just
I
like
think
yeah, amazing.
the music video was definitely a good one. I really enjoyed the music video for that. And also, I think I remember reading on this one that this was the song that Burton described as bringing him out of depression.
Oh right,
Because
okay, yeah, he like
I
resurrected himself.
yeah, I think at the time he was having quite a bit of difficulty in his relationship. I think the person he was seeing at the time was a female vocalist of another group. Um,
He got
I
married
mean,
though.
geez,
He got married like the same year or something, didn't he? Because like shout out to New Breed TV. I was watching them do the deep dive on the music video of this, and like I don't know if you know about this, unless you've seen the episode, you'd probably never know. But on one of the billboards, it flashes up a picture of his him getting married for like a tenth of a second or something.
oh Christ, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a little Easter egg that I only found out because of those guys, and I was like, what?
I mean, it's one of those things that the personal lives of the artist always bleeds into the music, doesn't it? It bleeds into the painting, whatever it is they're doing. The performance, I suppose, is a big part of that, and you can definitely feel that kind of. Trying to think of the way to describe it. It's not like a. It's like a second wind, isn't it? The character of Edge Crusher decides that this is what we need to do. We need to rekindle the hope and the compassion of humanity, and maybe that's the same sort of thing that Burton were going through at the time. It's without knowing the man, it's difficult to discuss, but at the same time, I suppose you don't really want to start going into people's personal lives. Certainly when a lot of the information that we get is off the internet, it's secondhand. Some cases, it's just pure bullshit, you know. But I think you can definitely tell he was going through something. And at the end of the song, you almost do kind of feel like that's what it's done. It's lifted the mood.
Dude, every
You
time
know,
it'll lift me up every time, which is like, but especially if I've listened to the entire album, then listened to it. Listening it into isolation, absolutely amazing still. But I think again talking about Newbury TV, but what's his name? Ben on that show was saying that like you kind of have to earn these songs. Like when you get to the end, they just hit 10 times harder because you've gone through that whole concept, that whole album, and then you get like an epic at the end. It's like finishing a film.
it's a song that I tried recommending to my cousin when his sister, my older cousin, passed away on Christmas Day 2 years ago. Well, not this Christmas, but Christmas prior.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of one of those things where I was like, you know, there's a feeling to this song of not repentance per se, but just wanting to go again and not give up and just realize that, like, you know, it's a test. Everything's a test, and you've got to give it everything, or give up. But
Yeah.
giving up isn't an option. So you've got to, you know, you've got to keep going, and certainly that last bit, like you've had a revelation, that reach for the sky. You know, that's almost biblical. Not
Dude,
just
it
the
just hits
imagery and
so
the fact
hard
that
that
the
bit. I
song.
can't. It's hard to like explain the emotion. In fact, I'll go so far to say this song gives me emotions that I just don't get from anything else. It just taps into something different that nothing else has. Like different songs hit me in different ways, but there's just something unique about the feeling I get from this song. I can't explain it.
Well, this is it, and I don't. One of the things I love about Fear Factory is that they're not afraid to give you that gut punch. You know, they'll give you a wonderful album, but then they'll end it with a song that'll, you know, it'll break your fucking heart, and that's brave.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, you don't want to come to the end of an album and walk away like, Jesus, I need a fucking tissue.
yeah.
You know, you just. But it's as you say, I view these as one song as well, and I think the vision I always had for timelessness is almost like it was almost like in the way that Edge Crusher got. Yeah, I mean this is the thing, isn't it? It's not like Hollywood. It wasn't a happy ending. Edge Crusher was captured, and that was the end of the movement. Been done, finished. Man is obsolete. You thought you could beat the machine. Well, you fuck around, you find out, right?
Yeah.
That was kind of the idea, and then you know there's the speech at the beginning, and the song itself, it's like consigning yourself to defeat, isn't it? The vision that I get in my head is like almost like euthanasia. It's like, right, well, you fought your battle and lost, you know, so time for your punishment, sort of thing.
Yeah,
And what
definitely.
goes through your head in those last few moments?
It's like if Resurrection was the finale and then Timelessness was like the credits in a way. Like that's how I sort of see it. Um, just thought on both of these songs actually. I was just thinking now, like it's fucking insane how far he came as a vocalist. Like if you think like those demos from the early '90s, like sick growls and stuff, but and like yeah, the singing there was little bits in there, but like it's it's fucking mental. Like how much he. I mean, it must have taken a lot of work to get to that point to sing a song like that. Like
Yeah,
both of those songs.
I think with Soul of a New Machine, I think the idea was that they needed to have that grindcore element with the vocals. I know that Burton said that he used to sing as part of a choir for a long time, so I think perhaps the singing ability was
It was in
there
there
to an
somewhere.
extent.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it perhaps it needed refining to the sound and the music they wanted to make. I mean, I remember the first time we watched Fear Factory with the well, what was it? The something tour. Help me out, Henry. What were it called a couple of years ago?
Disruptor.
Disruptor. That's the one. That's the first time that we met in Bristol and
Yeah.
or London was it? Sorry, one of the two. And we'd already watched them a couple of times, and I'm like, I was told they were playing Resurrection. They haven't played it so far.
Yeah.
They didn't do it in Manchester, and I were really disappointed. But I think the difficulty with that is the people who own Manchester are not very nice people, to be honest with you.
Do you think
And
they
when
had
they
to cut
say
it short? Do you think they had to cut your set short there?
I think so.
I think I remember seeing
very...
people saying, like, sort of like, well, yeah, I guess they were complaining about it, but it's just sometimes that happens. Like, yeah.
I mean, I don't understand why the people in Manchester are so strict. At the end of the day, like for example, they're taking a good cut out of merch sales,
And
the majority of merch,
fucking hundreds of drinks all night.
Yeah, if you've got people still buying drinks after the end of the gig, you're making money.
It's a sold. It was probably a sold out show as well, and they would have. I've never understood.
Oh,
that.
mate,
I've never understood why they can't pay some staff like a little bit extra money, keep them on. They're going to make an absolute killing.
Well, this is it, and they're going to be taking a cut of the merch. Most people go and buy merch after the show.
That's what was good about the London one, which I've never seen before to this day. That was the only event where they turned it into like a bit of a metal like DJ night, and I thought, genius, keep the venue open, keep all the people in there, they'll keep buying merch and everything. It's a great idea.
Yeah, it was the same way that like Ghost of Atlantis had such a good show that I went out and bought some of the stuff when they supported Fear Factory, and that's kind of how it is. You know, we talked about earlier how they were supporting Aussie with Ozfest and stuff like that. I bet they sold a shit ton of gear, at that time of t-shirts and hoodies and stuff like that, and it's just common sense, isn't it? But
I remember once I was at, I don't know if you've ever been there, the Underworld in Camden.
I know of it. I've never been.
It's just round the corner from Electric Ballroom, and I just saw a band called Cynic, and they're like one of my favorite bands, and they played Focus in full, which is like literally like my second favorite album. It was like a mind-blowing experience. And then Paul, which is like he's actually the only original member, like he was there like meeting people and stuff. And they were just like, as soon as the show was done, they were like trying to get everyone out the door, like everyone go, go, go. And I was like, I'm going to cry. If I can't get to go and say hello to him, I'm literally going to be devastated. But made it happen. And I was like stoked, got a picture with him. He signed my back patch, like a deaf human back patch. And I was like, fuck yeah. But it was a bit like tense because the security is like on it. But I'm like, give us a fucking minute. Like,
yeah, the venues can really ruin shows like that. We went to see Akira Yamaoka, the bloke who did all the music for the Silent Hill games, and he tours like once a lifetime. And we saw him in a place called Marble, and I want to say it was in Bristol. It was either in Bristol or Cardiff, but I want to say Bristol. And same sort of thing. As soon as the show were finished, he was at the doors to come out and start getting photos with people, and but bless him, he was crying as he was being ushered out because he'd already said, I'll come and I'll get photos and I'll do this, and the staff are just like, no, you need to go.
I know they're trying to do a job, I get that, but it's just not set up in the right way. Like, this is like, it's a really big thing for the people who are there, like, and they need to, I feel like they should respect that, to be honest. Like, I know they're trying to make money, I know they've got jobs and stuff, but there needs to be more of an element of respect about what's actually going down there, I think.
This is the big thing I'll give to that venue. I think, has it changed its name now? When we went, was it SWX?
Yeah, and now it's Electric, Bristol.
Yeah, so like when we went, I feel like there was a lot more leniency there, despite the fact that I'd spent a small fortune on merch.
just a little fortune.
I couldn't believe it. The guy were like, oh shit, here's some pics, here's something else.
Did you have to explain to your wife when you got back about we can't have the gas on now, I've spent it all on Fear Factory, mate.
Central heating, get it off. No, to be fair, a lot of it with my birthday money. And,
I mean, that's a good use. It's really nice, isn't it? Because you get all that stuff, and then like you've helped them keep going and stuff. It's a good exchange, really.
Well, this is it. I like supporting the band, and I'm a sucker for good merch. I hate to say it, but if I see something I like, I'll go and buy it. That this, for example, it's just a shame it took 7 weeks to arrive.
Hmm.
Bits and bats like that. So that were a shame. But I mean, when they played Resurrection in Bristol, Jesus, you could the energy in that room was incredible when they all came out, took a bow, and that and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, they're gonna play it, they're gonna play it, they're gonna play it. Just so exciting,
It
and
goes
it's a
over
great
live
song.
kind of weird because I feel like everyone's just perplexed, like including me. I'm just like, I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should headbang or anything. I'm just kind of watching, and I feel like everyone was a bit like that. Just kind of like,
Yeah,
it's a different energy in the room when that song comes on because it's so unique. It's like people don't really know how to react to it. You wouldn't. It's not a song to mosh to, but it's not really a song to.
I
I don't
think
know.
it's one where
I don't know.
you'd sing. I think it's like one you should
Yeah,
sing with the
sing
band.
along one. Yeah,
And just if you want to move your body a bit, just move your body a bit.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
I
I'd love if they finished every set on that song, or maybe Final Exit. Those kind of songs would be amazing.
Well, I like both of them. I like
Yeah,
Enhanced Reality, although I can't see him playing that live. That's
no,
one of my favourite songs of all time, to be fair.
yeah.
Um, and then what's the one at the end of
We need
Final
to touch
Exit?
on timelessness as well before I forget. I know we started, but
Yeah. Under the surface
oh,
when our machine.
expiration date.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just so many great songs they can finish on, and um, I just feel like Timelessness is a bit too dark to
yeah.
finish on.
I feel like the better ones would be like songs like Resurrection, Final Exit, because they've still got that like energy. Whereas like as much as I
Yeah.
love some of these other ones, it's like I think we said about this last episode. It's not really a closing
Mm.
track. A bit like yeah, enhanced reality. It's like it's really good, but it wouldn't. It's not really the right thing to end on.
Yeah, not for a gig. I mean,
Mm.
for the album,
Oh yeah, it's different in
it's
a you're listening by yourself kind of thing. Yeah,
it's it's almost it's almost heart wrenching because you can easily put yourself in the position of your character, and it's like if you know that your fate is sealed, what would you think? How would you feel? I guess anyone who's experienced the electric chair, or any form of death sentence for a crime or something, this song probably speaks to them so much. I don't know how to explain it. It feels like death. This song, it
yeah.
feels like grief,
Hmm.
but at the same time, it's a beautiful piece of music.
It sounds lonely because I think there's not so many instruments going on. It has this sort of lonely vibe, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think it sort of taps into that feeling of you're born alone, you die alone. There's nobody who can go through that with you.
True.
It's your experience, and it's a very personal one. But
Hmm.
I suppose there's that effect it has on me as a person in the sort of like my imagination and how I perceive that song and how it makes me feel, and then sort of the character as well in the story is it's just a killer.
Hmm.
You know, I
Yeah.
I I just get this picture in my head of just someone in a prison cell just waiting for it to end.
I think it's like I feel like they didn't have to add it, but it was sort of to me it's a bit of this caution reminder. It's like don't be too like can't be too careful kind of thing. You don't know what's going to happen in the future, and the reality is it might not be pretty. Like I always get that kind of feeling from it. It's a bit of a watch out, guys. Like shit's serious because can't always be a happy ending kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean the story of Edge Crusher isn't happy, is it? It's a cruel world,
Yeah.
and I think that's the point it's making. It's a cruel world. The speech at the beginning, for example, is talking about the automation of industry and how it's impacted people and things like
Dude,
that.
that speech is from so long ago as well. Let me just look. Do you know what the speech is called?
Something Sousa, I think, is the bloke who did it. I can't think of exactly.
Let me have a look. I feel like it's from like a weirdly like long time ago, and it's like, what the fuck? This
Is
guy
it
was
like
like,
1960s or something?
oh, Mario Savio's speech.
Oh, that's it. That's it. Savio, not Sousa.
Let me see when that was. I know the video is like black and white.
Mm.
1964. There you go.
Yeah,
Over
yeah.
60 years ago now, and
But I mean,
he's
again,
right as ever.
yeah. So it's surprising how many times you hear people say, such a person was right, such a person was right. There's one glaring example I'd like to mention, but I'd probably get in trouble for it. But I mean, quite often, people say, yeah, do you know what? They were right.
Hmm.
And at the time, what they said sounded outlandish, it sounded ridiculous, but time will tell.
And the bit about like, I can't remember the whole thing, but like, you got to put your hands upon the levers upon the all the apparatus. You got to make the machine stop or something like that. And I'm like, to me, that already happened when the internet was created. I feel like that's where there was a huge jump in everything in a way. It's like it's kind of it's almost like putting a child out into the world, and that child could do anything. They could be anyone.
Mm.
You want them to be a certain thing. You really do. You want it to be. You want them to be a good person and stuff, and do this and that, and they probably will do a lot of good. But then, what about all the bad that comes as a consequence of that as well? It's almost like you don't know. Anyone can have a kid, and you hope for the best. But it's like, what could happen? Someone gave birth to like Hitler, like for example, and I don't know if this is a weird comparison, but I'm just saying like it's been put out there in the world. It's done a lot of good. It's done a lot of bad, but I don't know. Let's see what happens.
Well, this is it. It's something that people talk about when they talk about like the British Empire, for example. The people forget that it wasn't a nice world that they were discovering. Some of the things they came across were horrific, and I'm not saying that excuses the actions where they were definitely bang out of
No,
order.
definitely not.
And we're not sort of here to discuss history per se, but it's just one brilliant example among many of like, it's a fucking cruel world.
Yeah,
People people die
there was a lot of
way before they
two
deserve
two.
to, and yet some people live far longer than they should be allowed to.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, I know. Sometimes you're like, I just wanted to end on resurrection and just be like, fuck yeah. But it's like, yeah,
You've
it's.
got to have,
I
and
do wonder if it was put in there is this sort of like a bit of a caution to listeners because that's the vibe I've always got from it.
yeah, and I must admit it is a little bit weird when I've just put all the albums onto play in order, and you go from timelessness to what will become.
No, it's timelessness into fucking cars. I'm just like, what? The
Well,
contrast
yeah, if you're
is
going off the
so.
special edition, yeah,
Oh, the
yeah,
contrast is so funny, man. It's just like,
yeah.
I'm like, all right, we're back.
Yeah, to be fair, it's a little bit like that with reindustrialized. How you come out of enhanced reality into oh god, I can't think of the name of the cover song.
Is there cover? Yeah.
Where we were. Oh god, you
Is
just
it
like know they're two different vibes.
is it the pitch shifter one or land?
Yeah,
Is it the one that's like
landfill,
motherfucker?
I think. But didn't they do it with archetype as well? Like you
Archetype
had
goes
human
into
shields.
school at the end from Nirvana.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you just like what?
This one, I think this one gripe I've had with bonus tracks, but then I'm like, where else do you put it really? Like,
Yeah, and like I say, you've got to be brave to do stuff like this.
mm,
I always thought that the industrialist was missing something. I felt like it were missing something, and then when I heard Genexus and I heard Enhanced Reality, I was just like, I love this song, but it feels out of place, and that's when I put two and two together. And I think Dino had said in an interview at the time that it was a track that was supposed to go on to the industrialist, and they really liked it, but they just couldn't quite make everything sort of work how they needed it to.
Yeah.
didn't want to drop it, thus it became a bonus track. And now when you listen to it through properly, it's there at the end. But
Yeah.
it takes some real fucking balls to have a
Yeah.
metal album, an industrial metal album,
to end on something like that.
on a really sad tone.
Yeah. One final thought from timelessness. That speech, I've always known it from Linkin Park. I don't know if you know the song. It was in like one of the later albums. I actually really like that one. I know you don't, but that's where I always knew it from. So when I heard it on here, I was like, oh my god, another band did this like way before, like 12 years before. So I always thought that was cool. And I have to admit, it fits so much better in Obsolete just because of what it's about. And I'm like, this is where it belongs. I'm glad it made it into that song. I don't know if it was used in any songs prior to that, but I'm so glad they put it in there because I'm like, I can't think of a better album really to put that in anywhere.
Yeah, it's funny where these things crop up, in fairness.
Yeah. And then if we can just touch on the bonus tracks, and I might have to call it a night, but is it Where Evil Dwells? Was that the next one?
Yeah, I sort of skipping Cars, if you will.
Well, Cars, actually, I want to know your opinion quickly on Cars, because I know you said you like Gary Newman, so you probably only got good things to say.
Well, I think it's a good cover, and I do really like it. There's certainly worse Gary Newman covers out there. I just kind of wish that if Gary Newman was there with them and they had the repertoire of songs that he's written, that perhaps they might have gone for something else. But I mean, Cars is a really easy song to play. Da, 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 da. I mean, I can pick my bass up now and play through the entire song, and I just have to listen carefully, figure out that I think it's a major scale it's played in, and then boom, you're done. There's the entirety of the song.
I wonder if it was a bit like, let's just have a bit of fun, because it's a fun song. They've just done a very serious, like heavy album. It's like maybe we'll just try something else. And it's funny though, because it still has that Obsolete feel, because it has the tones, the production, the drums, and it's such an interesting. It's like it's got that familiar feeling, but yeah, the major key and everything makes it properly stand out. It's like, oh, hello.
I feel the reason they went for Cars is probably because it's so accessible. It's one of Gary Newman's greatest hits, but also it's one you can play like that. So if there's like a time constraint element there, and it's like, we want to cover one of your songs, how do you feel about being on it? I'm only here till tomorrow afternoon. I've got the perfect song. Do you know what I mean?
I actually enjoy it. I think it's a good laugh. I just don't take it too seriously. And yeah, it'd be funny if they actually, supposedly they're going to play this year live, so that'll be funny.
Ooh. The music video's a bit of a weird one, but
I kind of like it. It's just that that Matrix kind of vibe, but on a budget.
with the cars.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good laugh, and it's funny how it made their album sell loads because people were hearing it on the radio and they're like, "Oh, I'll buy the whole album. I like that." And then the first thing that comes on is Shock.
Yeah, my dad used to like Gary Newman for a while back in '80s, and when I let him listen to Cars, at first he were impressed, and then he were like, something a bit different about this, and I can't put my finger on it. I'm like, yeah, it's not Gary Newman.
You put your CD in, press play, and then you hear, Shock!
I know, bloody hell.
You'd be like, what the fuck? Did I buy the right album?
Maybe that's the joke. It just shocks people who weren't expecting it.
Yeah, the next one was Where Evil Dwells. It's a cover song, isn't it? Where Evil Dwells.
Yeah, I can't think of the band it's covered from. It always reminded me a bit of like Freedom or Fire with the beginning of it, but then when it gets more into the song, it is its own thing. It's just like the beginning kind of sounded like a slower version of Freedom or Fire.
Is it Wise Blood? I don't know. You know what? I have to admit, I've never gone and listened to the original.
I'll be able to tell you.
It's Wise Blood.
I hope.
I've never heard of them. Wise Blood band.
Where Evil Dwells.
Rock band. From where? There's not much information on it.
It doesn't even say it.
Here, it doesn't even say where this band's from. Oh, American. There you go. Electronic noise rock band formed by Clint Ruin.
Yeah, it doesn't say. I'll tell you what, one last thing before we move on from Resurrection, sorry. I love that disc.
Yeah, that is awesome.
That is beautiful, like the blues and the blacks. That's just
Again,
for a single.
that's a
Wow.
bit Matrixy in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe they read the script before the film came out.
It's definitely got a similar like aesthetic. Like even the band, like I mean, in the Cars video, you see what like they're all wearing. They've got their long like leather trench coats, slick back hair,
Yeah.
sunglasses. And I'm like, man, it was a cool look. Like I wish it was more in. I'm like, I want to walk around dressed like that.
Burton looks like Jackie Estacado from The Darkness, and I'm like,
They just look
this is
fucking.
sick.
They just look badass. I was just like, I know it's a little bit silly, but I'm like, I think it was cool. I think it worked to the sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I have to admit, I always thought that was cool about the band, like, especially Burton. He would like reinvent himself each album cycle as well, like in his appearance. I always thought that was just a cool. And they changed the logo.
Mm.
He changed the logo. He changes his appearance. Like look, think how he looked like on Obsolete. Like you know, like I said, the long coat, slick back hair, and then like Digimortal, he's got like long hair with the blue in it, like representing the album. And I was like, I always thought it was a cool thing that he did really, just to like, it's almost like reinventing the band each time and himself. Like I always thought it was a cool idea because you don't normally see that. Some people come out on stage and look pretty much like how they used to, kind of thing. Like
Yeah, I must admit, I remember seeing the music video for was it Slave Labor? One of
yeah,
the Archetype songs, and they've got like the I don't know how you describe it. It's not denim, but the sleeveless shirts on
it's
and
the
stuff, and I'm
sleeveless
just like,
shirts and the 3/4
yeah.
length shorts. You remember 3/4 length shorts?
I'm just like, I am. Do you know what it reminds me of? That picture of Steve Buscemi where he's got the skateboard on his shoulder and he's like, "Hello, fellow children." He's trying to fit in with the
Yeah,
moshers at
it's
the
funny
time.
because they were like mid 30s at that point, so it was a bit like that, I suppose. But yeah,
Well, that's it. It's just a bit, yeah, a bit crazy. But as you say, it's a good thing to do that. I think in a way, you want to keep things fresh but familiar.
yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's like it just like re-energizes everything, like each album cycle. I always thought it was a cool idea.
Mm.
Yeah, no, it's interesting this band they covered because there's like hardly any info on them. Like, it's funny that they did Cars, like quite a popular song, and then they chose one that was just like really niche, like no one even knows what it is. Like,
There's not much on Head of David, who did
yeah, it's a bit
Dog
like
Day
that.
Sunrise.
It's
I
a bit
think they
like
were only active for about 3 years.
yeah. But to be honest, the song itself, I'm not that big on it. Like, it's okay. But it's just the vocals are kind of weird and stuff. Like, it's. I think it was probably trying to keep it kind of true to the original in a way, but
Mm.
I don't know.
I don't really. I don't dislike, but I don't particularly like any of the additional songs on this particular album, for no other reason than the fact that I can't vibe with him, and I don't know what it is. There's not one of them that really makes me wish it was on the main album, which is weird because, like, you know, I mean, for fuck's sake, everyone wishes My Grave was on Transgression. You know, it's the one song that people might have actually wanted to fucking listen to a bit more than a lot of the rest of them. But
Hmm.
even Soul Wound, for example, I think that's the next one we touch on briefly. But it didn't do anything for me.
I
And
honestly quite like it. Like, I wonder if I like it more than the title track. Maybe I don't know. I'll have to listen again.
it's, it's
Um,
just the repetition of the
yeah,
Soul
yeah.
Wound.
Maybe
I'm
it's a.
like, oh, come on.
It probably could have been halved that section, I suppose, and then
Yeah,
it would have been a tighter song then potentially.
I think there's a song in there somewhere, but that particular section just outlives its welcome for me. If it weren't for that, then I probably would
Yeah,
have
because
liked
it's
it a
just
little bit
one
better.
lyric. It's literally one word. So as well, like it's not necessarily the pattern. It's just the yeah, very repetitive, I suppose. But I think
I
Messiah
think
is
I
good
think
fun. I want to go in a circle pit with Messiah. That's my goal in life.
I think Messiah's probably the one out of the.
It's just like the reason I got this was like, have you seen that video? It was originally put with Meshuggah Bleed, and it's like I want to say they're like Islamic kind of group or maybe like an offshoot of that. I don't really know, but they're in
Oh
this
yeah, yeah.
room.
No, I know the
They're in
one
this
you're on
room and they're
about. They're
doing this
going
kind of.
round in a
It's
circle.
like a bouncy like circle pit, and then the guys from the Fear Factorium guys like they put it like the music. They put Messiah to it, and it just goes perfectly. And I'm like, I want to be in there. It looked like the best circle pit I've ever seen. So that's what I
Yeah,
think about every time I hear the song. I just think about that video of them just like running around. I'm like, that would be good fun. But yeah, this song is even more repetitive. Here's a fun fact: the only lyrics are Messiah and forced down and forced out. That's the only words in the
yeah.
whole song.
I think from the music structure, if I take the lyrics out, I quite like the song, but the lyrics don't add anything to it.
No,
So it's like,
Messiah. I do like the delivery of just Messiah, like the way he's shouting it.
it's almost just like Burton got drunk and got angry and walked into a church, innit? Like, fuck you, God.
I think he liked that word though, because they came back with a new Messiah, didn't they, later on Industrial?
End of the line.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a banger, is that?
and then Concreo, which we kind of already touched on, so I don't really feel like we need to say that one again. I do like that song though. I think it's good.
Yeah, I think all in all, it's a great album. As I say, Until Genexus, in terms of the chronology, for me, it was definitely my quintessential Fear Factory album. I love the story, I love the artwork, I love the music. There's nothing there that I wish did have changed or maybe done differently. You know, I'd like to see it all live if possible, but we'll have
Yeah,
to wait and see what happens later on this year with tours. Because apart from download, it doesn't look like they're visiting the UK for the moment in time. But you
well, it
never
seems like
know.
they're supposed to be coming in September, so
Well, things are picking up now, aren't they? Like Korn have announced
I
a
know they're
UK
coming. I know
tour,
they're
and
coming because
um,
what's his name? Pete Weber said they are, and they've already got one date in Italy. So I'm like, they're not coming over to do one date in Italy. So I think that
yeah,
pretty
but
much seals the
I'm
deal.
just hoping they don't do what Godsmack are doing at the minute, because Godsmack are calling it a European tour, but they're only doing one show in each major city, and that's it.
Hmm. I
You
just
know,
hope
I
it's
hope it.
I hope it's a headline tour. That's the main thing that I'm concerned
Yeah,
about
because
because
we
I just
talked
feel
about it the
like
other
they're
day with the
not.
Mushroom Head thing, didn't we?
To me, they're just not. Uh, I don't even think they're a co-headlining band. I don't think they're a support band. I don't think they're a co-headlining band. I think they should just be the headline, personally.
No, Fear Factory should be the headlining band.
Yeah.
I don't dislike Mushroom Head, but I don't think I don't put them in
Fear
the same
Factory's got
band
a
as
lot
Fear
more.
Factory.
They've got a lot more listeners, bigger following as well. So it doesn't really add up to me. Like, sure,
Well, I mean,
give Mushroom Head like a long set if you want, but like I don't. I just think yeah. I don't know. It's just maybe it's
well,
just because I don't listen to them. Maybe that's what it is. But
look at when we went to see Fear Factory supporting Kerry King. It's like, it's fucking Kerry King. He's one of the guys who were in Slayer, one of the big four,
yeah,
and yet every fucking T-shirt was Fear Factory.
yeah.
The
I mean,
room went absolutely mad for
if it was Slayer
Linchpin,
itself,
but
yeah, who's to argue with that? Like they're part of the big four. Like, I mean, as much as I'd want Fear Factory to headline, I'd out of respect, I'd be like, I understand that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Slayer needs the headline. They started this shit back in the 80s, like just out of respect in a way. But
I think looking at those crowds, I'd definitely say that, like, because we watched them in 3 different venues on that tour. I would have said from what I saw, it were like 70% Fear Factory fans and 30% Kerry King. And the only time I really saw the Kerry King fans going mad is when he played Rain in Blood.
yeah,
And that was it. And it felt to me like they kind of knew that they weren't going to beat Fear Factory in the terms in the sort of sense of crowd engagement and getting people hyped and stuff like that. So it's just like they went, fuck it, if we can't be better, we'll be louder. And the guitars were peaking, and oh my god, the drums, you could feel them in your chest even from halfway across the room. And it's like there is such a thing as too much gain, too much volume. Everything's peaking. I can't even hear what's being fucking played now. Like, to me, that's not enjoyable.
I think another problem though is that he lost hype because around the time his album was coming out, Slayer was announcing dates again, like just a few. But it's kind of like, if we can have that, do we want that? Whereas if it was
Well, this is it.
whereas if it was the other way around of, okay, this is our only option, maybe people would get behind it a bit more. But if it's like the knowledge of like, I can go and see Slayer, like actual Slayer with Tom Araya on vocals and everything. It's like a bit of and get all those songs that people have grown up with since like forever. And I love a bit of Slayer myself. Like,
yeah, South of Heaven, brilliant
Yeah.
song. But I mean, I listened to some of Kerry King's music, and I was just like, she sounds like Slayer.
Yeah. I mean, for me though, I wasn't even that big on like the later Slayer albums anyway. Like, I mean,
yeah, it's the older stuff. It's
the
like
80s
Metallica,
stuff,
isn't it?
and Seasons in the Abyss. That's where it's at. Like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
heard.
top 5 songs.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say I heard that back in the day. I don't know if it was Obsolete tour. No, I don't think it was. I wonder if it was just before it came out or something. But they were opening for Slayer, and
Oh yeah, I heard
but
about
apparently
this.
they
They
had
got bottles thrown
really
at them
good
and stuff, didn't they?
reception. Really good reception, and it's funny because a lot of bands that open for them just get absolutely like booed and have shit thrown at them and stuff. But
I remember something about this, but did they not have to win the crowds over? Sorry, because I remember hearing stories about like people who open up for Slayer normally have bottles of piss thrown at them and all sorts of horrible things.
well, apparently, like they were just received well, is what I heard. Like I don't know if maybe before they started, people were a bit like, "Oh, who's this?" kind of thing, and then they got their fucking faces smashed in, and were like, "Yeah, cool." But funny enough though, when they toured with Ozzy, Burton said that's the worst experience they had was because I don't know, people just were so like, we don't want to hear him, and they were throwing money at him or something on stage, like to try and hit him with coins and stuff.
Fucking hell, people are awful.
I know.
I tell you what though, let's see if they'd have done the same thing 10 years later. They'd have absolutely loved it. I hate stuff like that. It drives me up the wall. But
I know, it's like you haven't even given him a chance.
It's like we were saying before the podcast as well, innit? Like Ozzy Osbourne didn't just pick bands for the sake of it. Like he saw something in them, or he believed in them, and it's like I remember Dino telling a story about he were working in a sandwich shop and Dave Mustaine came in, so he made Dave Mustaine a sandwich and he sat down and spoke to him, and it's like those wise words of inspiration. The more you think about it, the more you look at the staples of rock and metal and kind of the comments that they got, you feel like they were set up for success, but as we both know, life doesn't work out like that, unfortunately, does it?
No, sadly not. Yeah, let's do the top 5 songs then. So what have you got 5th place? Soul Wound.
Edge Crusher.
I need to think about this. I'm saying this and I'm like, yeah, right, hang on. So that. Oh my god, it's harder than you think. I think it's Edge Crusher for me as well. Yeah, Edge Crusher.
Okay. Number 5 is Edge Crusher. We're agreed.
Yeah. What about 4?
Descent.
Yep, Descent. I'm putting that there as well. We're gonna have the same, aren't we?
I'm making you rethink your life choices now, aren't I?
We're not gonna have the same. I know we're not, because I think our number 1's different. Number 3, I'm going with Securitron.
Timelessness.
Oh really? Oh, you got it quite high up. Okay, no, we're switching up now. That's interesting. And then what about 2nd?
Securitron.
Oh, you're not putting that first. I thought you were putting that first.
No, Resurrection by a smidge.
Okay. Yeah, I would go Shock next. I think it's fucking great. And then Resurrection, of course.
I think if I were going to do the whole album, then Shock would be like 6th. it's just missing a little something not to break that top five. But again, it's a great album. You know, picking five is difficult, even for the ones where you kind of like, yeah, you know, there's still good songs.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what I would put like sixth, although we're not really supposed to do that. But I'm just wondering actually what would I have next?
I think I'd have gone Shock, Smasher, Devourer, Freedom or Fire, High Tech Hate, Obsolete.
I think I'd go Smash or Devourer, then High Tech Hate, then then probably Timelessness, Freedom of Fire, Obsolete, and then the bonus tracks, pretty much something like that, I guess.
Cars.
Yeah, I do like it, but it's more of a single. That's how I see it. It's a single. It's not really a part of
It's a
an
cheesy
album.
bit of fun. That's all it is, isn't it? There's no wrong with that.
It's a bit of fun. Anyway, yeah. If anyone made it this far in the video, let us know your top 5 song. See if there's any hot takes out there. What's the most underrated song? I think the underrated is, I want to say Securitron, but then quite a lot of people talk about it.
I'd still say it's probably the most underrated because I think everyone knows the album for, you know, Resurrection, Edge Crusher, and stuff like that.
I guess you have to be a bit more of a bigger fan, but yeah, it's a really good song.
Like I said, I'd like to hear it live. I really, really would. It's definitely one that, you know, I can listen to again and again and again. It is.
It's that chorus. It's just addictive. It's fun. Actually, you know what? I like how it goes into the chorus quite quick as well, because like some of the other songs, there's a bit of a build up, but that one you get there quite quick.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a shame that Resurrection is just that good a song.
I know. It can't be beaten.
I know, you don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah. Anyway, are we calling it a night?
Seems like a night to me. What we're talking? Let's have a look.
I know it's got pretty late.
Oh, it's only 1:20 in the morning.
We'll pay for it tomorrow.